Okay, for those of you who don't know, THORChain is the first DEX that can swap real Bitcoin. You can use every Bitcoin wallet in the world. You don't have to connect it to a website. Same with Ethereum, XRP, BNB, Tron, Doge, and more. Eventually, you'll be able to swap any token from any wallet. THORChain is turning into a full layer one where apps can be built on top of it. The new app layer unlocks lending, perps, Bitcoin backed stablecoin, a token launchpad, NFTs, prediction market, and more. THORChain isn't just a DEX, it's becoming the protocol of pure uncensored liquidity. Swapping on THORChain is permissionless. There's no KYC. Anyone in the world can use it. To swap on THORChain, go to thorchain.org and click on swap. Bugs are being fixed, new features are coming out, new functionality being added. The site is in beta, so still lots to be done and fixed over the next few months. THORChain's token is called Rune, spelled RUNE. You don't need to buy or hold Rune to place a swap on THORChain. You just need your whatever asset you want to sell. That's all you need. But the fees that you pay to do the swap are deducted from your sending asset and used to buy Rune. And this Rune is the yield that goes to the liquidity pools and the nodes. So there's no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of the yield is real. THORChain is actually deflationary with 5% of the revenue burned. If you hold Rune on a centralized exchange, you should withdraw it in self custody. Those tokens could be used as short sell and drive the price down on yourself. Once you're in self custody, you can look into bonding your Rune and start earning some yield on it. And when you bond your Rune to a node, you help secure the network, which can help attract volume and usage, and in turn the Rune price. So you become an agent in your own success. THORChain is another token called TCY, THORChain Yield. And this token is kind of like a preferred stock. 10% of the protocol revenue goes to these token holders. So if you deposited a crypto into the savers or took it a loan on THORChain, you have claim to some of these TCY tokens. So make sure you go claim them and start collecting this yield. If you don't, it's okay. You can go buy this token on the open market. Anyone can buy the TCY token. There's a THORChain community Discord and Telegram where you can join and learn about THORChain, make friends and whatnot. Go to @THORcommunity on Twitter. That's their handle, @THOR community. And the links to the Discord and Telegram are there. And yeah, there's a current node vote going on. I don't know if it's passed yet or not to change the minimum swaps per block from 10 to 50. And so if you're a node operator, a bond provider, make sure you review that and enter your vote if you agree with it. And yeah, let's kick things off. My name's Kenton. I run a fund that invests in Rune, runs nodes on THORChain. So I'm a node operator, bond provider on THORChain. And I've also been running the marketing team and the new front end, getting the new swap interface going, which I imagine will be our topic of conversation today. Let me stop there. Pass over to you, Patriot, see if you have anything you want to add.
Yeah, guys, Patriot Sounds. Name's Denny. Been an educator, content creator for THORChain. It's going on half a decade now. Love all of you guys. If there's anyone new here, pleasure to meet you. And a lot of new people are in here since the start. I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I just want to extend that again right now, and super thankful for everyone here. If you want to hear my original message, you have to listen to the recording, but again, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. So glad. Yeah, Kenton, I think that was a good topic you mentioned. If you want to kick it right off into that. And just as a quick disclaimer, guys, it is obviously Thanksgiving. I'm at a family member's house, so I don't know how long I'm going to last, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but it's going to be a short one for me today. But go ahead, Kenton.
Sure. So in the last few days, there's been a little bit of drama, I guess, concerns, criticisms, or whatever. So one of them is the SwapKit SDK. So the the aggregator on the front end is built by the Unstoppable devs from Unstoppable Wallet, and like they built the whole swap interface for us, and the treasury is paying them to do it, and um, and part of this is to build our own DEX aggregator, and they used some of the open source public license code from SwapKit. Like SwapKit has made public some of their code, and so the Unstoppable devs use some of that. So it's just like kind of like Maya forking THORChain, but it's all open, free to use. I think what I think they kind of screwed up is they didn't attribute it properly, like do proper like a reference, like saying that we borrowed their code, which is like a hat tip, right? It's kind of like etiquette that you should do. So they feel bad that that wasn't done to begin with. So that will be done. I think they've already apologized for that. But there is, this is all open source. Like it's not like anyone's tried to hide anything. Um, and so the aggregator is like ours, like it's unstoppable. They're building it, but we're paying for it, right? And so it's ours to use and to tell them what we want to do with it. And so over time, this STK, this library, is going to change and evolve based on what we want to do with it. And so I wouldn't be surprised like a few months or a year from now is completely different than what they started with. And this SDK will be open source and public license too for anybody else to copy. And like I hope people do. Like I hope like I want people to fork this stuff and go build and go, make clones and whatnot. That's the goal with the website too. We want people to fork it and clone it and go do stuff with it, make it their own. We want to try this is, some people have said what we're doing is centralization. I'm like, well, I don't think so. I think we're adding to decentralization. We're adding another front end. We're adding a new aggregator, and we want to try and make it easy for other people to do the same. So, and then yeah, there's been some like questioning around having the aggregator, and like I think we've, in my mind, we've covered it pretty well in these spaces. But I was thinking about it. I appreciate you. There's probably been not much written stuff on it. So, if people feel like they're in the dark or left out or don't know what's going on, that's probably something maybe. I just didn't think of it to be honest. To like write something up, but probably should write up a blog post, an article, or something, and like put it all in writing, explain it because I understand everybody consumes info differently. But I feel like I've been pretty open with this the last few months, like what we're doing. And so maybe I'll walk through it again. The goal of the front end is to get users on THORChain. And so um, this is we're seeing on other front ends that have THORChain, but people also get routed to other exchanges because their logic is just where's the cheapest route. Okay, fine, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. They can do that. And I've pushed for a front end where the logic is different. The logic goes to THORChain first, no matter what. It's not purporting to find the best price for the user. What the front end is doing is going to THORChain first and driving traffic there, users there. And then, so I'm thinking about like the big picture. If we want users on THORChain, we want to capture the user experience. We want people to stay on our site and use as much as they can. And so that's why I want DEX aggregation, because if the route isn't on THORChain, I don't want them to have to go to a different website to go place the trade, which then, oh, I like this other site or this other interface. I'm going to use that instead. And we lose the user. We want to capture the user. And this is how THORChain starts building its own brand and not worrying about just trying to be the cheapest, right? Like there's different ways to run a business. You can try and be the cheapest product in your market, or you can be the most favorite, right? You don't have to be the cheapest in order to be successful. You can have a product people like and love to use, right? You have a brand. So this is how THORChain can start becoming a brand. So it also have the DEX aggregation. So there's a couple other things. We can see the routes where people are going, where they're, what other tokens do they want to trade? And then we know, okay, this is what we should prioritize to get added to THORChain and start getting that route ourselves. And so we're getting real world data there. And then once it's on THORChain, we can kind of do like a switcheroo, right? And so the users just using THORChain, using our site, and we just switch to THORChain. In theory, shouldn't be a big deal, right? They like our site, they like using it, they'll keep going. But at least we've captured that user and they're sticky with us. And then the other thing is this is like, you know, I don't think many people really talk about this, or maybe you're aware, but like THORChain is not integrated into Ledger or Trust Wallet or a lot of these other front ends. It's SwapKit. SwapKit is integrated everywhere, not THORChain. And it's kind of like all the nodes being on AWS. That's the point of centralization, right? So what if AWS shuts us down? All these nodes go offline, right? What if SwapKit shuts down THORChain? What if it turns it off? Right? Then we lose all those integrations, right? Um, I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm not saying they want to do that. I'm just saying what if, right? It's no different than the AWS example. Um, but it's a point of centralization. So, we want to have multiple ways to distribute THORChain, right? Different distributors, right? Cal with Leodax, he's building LeoKit. That's awesome. Want to get that out there. We should get as many distributors out there, getting all these different exchanges out there we can, right? That competition is what should help. At least we should be in there some way, shape, or form, right? So that if some really don't want to hold or represent THORChain, that's okay. We're in some others. Um, so to build this aggregator, what better way than on our own front end? We can iron it out the bugs, get it working, get it live, and then when we go to wallets to sell it, to say, hey, you want to integrate THORChain, we can say this is what on our site, this is how it works. And the idea with this aggregator is that it'll work the same on that is working on our front end. Any trades that go to THORChain have zero fee. If the token isn't there, looks for Maya. If it trades there, there's zero fee. And then after that goes to DEX aggregation and then charges a fee. So this is a way for us to support and build an aggregator that we can offer to wallets, integrate THORChain, and have all the other exchanges, right? Because the wallet doesn't care about only THORChain. They want to offer all the routes and make the most money for themselves, right? So if we can offer them an aggregator that here's all the routes you want, and it's cheaper because there's no fee to send routes to THORChain or Maya, then great, right? Hopefully they'll use it, and then if the wallet uses that, then that's prioritizing volume to THORChain, right? We're getting it. So like the point of this front end is to prioritize THORChain, to funnel volume to THORChain, and maybe we have to go to a bit of a detour to do that, but ultimately all that's what all roads are leading to. How do we get more volume on THORChain? And that's the goal of the site. And then with the DEX aggregation, we charge a fee that helps support the site, right? And support the devs to build that aggregator, right? Somebody's got to pay for it, right? Um, and then somebody asked me to, is the front end always going to be zero fee? And that's my sincere hope and intention, but I got to leave a caveat because everyone in THORChain is always like, we say something and then a year later it'll just, we have to go back on our word. Um, I hope so. But what if the only reason I could see maybe the front end eventually charging fees for THORChain routes is that what if we do get all tokens, everything covered on just THORChain, and we don't need DEX aggregation anymore. All the fees, all the trades go into THORChain, all the fees go into THORChain. How do we support the site? How do we actually pay for the site? Like pay the devs to keep it alive? So hopefully there's enough money coming into the marketing fund that'll we can pay for that. That'll be able to use to pay the site. Um, but maybe not. Maybe we need to charge 5 basis points or something so we can have some money going to the devs to keep the site up to date. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there, you guys. But that's the idea for charging the fee on a DEX aggregation to help pay for the site. So I think that's probably a pretty good summary. Maybe I'll stop talking and see, Patriot, if you have any questions, if I missed something, or if somebody else wants to jump up and start asking. Hello, did I lose you guys?
I hear you. I'm good.
You there, Coke?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I hear you, but I don't hear Patriot. Maybe he got.
Oh,
But it's
shoot.
okay. I can.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. A lot of questions, a lot of notes made. First of all, let's start with the introduction. THORChain is not trying to become the this and that. We already are app player. We already have a lot of functions. We have the memoless. We are going to have the limit swap. So let's fix the introduction. Make it just a little bit more better. I was absent last week, and I do have actually a couple of questions regarding last week. So about the THORChain front end, when can we expect the affiliate fees that we can attach everybody who's going to be THORChain front end or the code base? Because this is the biggest thing. Like if you get affiliate fees, you have you have now the reason to copy the end and facilitate the swaps. So what's the because I heard from Kale from Leodex that actually they didn't get any like fees from the perps and stuff. What's with this affiliate fee?
Sorry, Cook, you're cutting in and out a bit. And I don't think I understand your question. I didn't hear it
Oh,
properly. Can you repeat it, please?
I can I can repeat it. Let me know if you can hear me. And move closer to the other. So my question was about affiliate fees. When we can expect the system where we can actually attach our affiliate fees, and so people can distribute the front and actually have the system in place where they can have the affiliate fees and promote the THORChain front end.
Oh, okay. You mean like when can you fork the front end, or when can you add a widget to your website and have the front end show up and add your
Exactly.
own affiliate
Yeah,
fee
yeah.
to it, and like you can call it with the Coke swap or something. And
Exactly, because at the moment because at the moment even we don't we people don't have the reason to implement the THORChain front end because there's no like income from them.
yeah, all I gotta say, it's gonna be a few months, dude. There's so many, God, there's so much we need to fix, and like, um, yeah, we got a lot to dial in first before we do that. So, at the pace we're going, like I'm a bit frustrated too, guys, on like, how long it takes for things to get done. Um, I'd say Q2, before that's probably realistic. Like there's enough. Again, I would remind everybody this is like a soft opening for the site, right? Like we want our friends and family to use it, right? So we don't embarrass ourselves sending it to brand new people. Um, we want our friends and family to use it to like point out problems. What don't you like? What needs to be fixed? What isn't working? And there's a lot, right? So um, once we get those things ironed out, once we're more confident, and it's like, okay, it's more like this is more official, and we can like actually share this more with the world, then we can do that. But I don't even like I'm it's nice to see how much is being used. I mean, that's great, but like um I think it might be giving people a wrong impression that the site is done, right? Like it's not, there's a lot of things that still need to be fixed and added. So yeah, so it's gonna be a while, Cook, before we can do that.
Okay, so no, don't get me wrong. I know exactly. It's in the like a really early beta, and absolutely expect more to be built. So the idea is that as soon as we got it running really good, after that we will enable the affiliate marketing copy based features. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So last week we were discussing about the Monero centralized routes, and like there was one wallet that was using the DEX as well that you mentioned. My question is that can we have like this like let's say we you said like there at the moment there hasn't been any instances where the swap was frozen or anything. can't we have like this, like let's say 10K guaranteed for the swapper on THORChain that if they swap and it gets frozen, we like for example just pay them back. And as soon as we get this first frozen transaction, we stop this route. So we can assure users that yes, it goes through THORChain, yes, it goes through centralized exchange, but we will make sure that any swap under 10K, we will just reimburse them, if you understand what I mean.
I do.
Is there even a way to monitor it? Like if first swap gets frozen, we stop this route, reimburse the user, we go from there. So just to give like people like this a nice cozy feeling, like if you swap under 10K, no problems. We pay out of treasury if you get frozen. So this gives like this. Although it's not decentralized, but we make sure that the user will never lose the funds. Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. I don't know. Think about that. I don't know how we would administer it or like monitor it. Um, I mean, to be honest, my inclination is just not to do it. Like that's why I presented it to the community. Like I'm not sure what the right thing to do there is. You know, whether we should actually have it or not. Because I personally am pretty sensitive to that. I think that's the last thing we need is to have somebody, have a trade to the front end get frozen, even if it's for $10. Right? Doesn't the dollar amount doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's happened. So yeah. But based on your question, seems like you're okay with it as long as we disclose it and maybe offer some kind of comfort. Um, seems to be everyone seems to be okay with it as long as it's upfront. I haven't had any real no one else has really pushed back on it.
I
Um,
mean, I'm okay with it, long as we let user know, of course, that it's going to be go through centralized route. And I would love, because it's like, let's say we set this 10K threshold. The first user that gets frozen, it doesn't matter if it's even $10, but we stop the route right away and we give the money back. It gives a lot of security for users. It gives a lot of integrity for THORChain that we care about the users. We just don't implement the centralized route, but we stand before we think this route is okay. But at the same time, we just don't say it's okay. But if something happens, we are willing to pay like 10K, and we will display like if you do it below 10K, you're okay. But if you go above 10K, then yes, it's centralized route, and we cannot assure that everything's okay. I feel like this gives like this extra comfort for users to use it, because we take care of the user. Only in the case we can ensure that we can monitor but whenever we get stopped, that we can sure we can be back.
yeah, no, good idea. Let me run it over with the guys.
Because otherwise, when we just give them a way to go through centralized exchange and we don't give any assurance, mm, I think it's not a good active solution. But when we just are willing to pay out 10K from treasury if something happens, I think it's super small amount, and I'm super sure, as you said before, Control Wallet is using it as well. Um, I'm not doubting that it's not going through, but just give this extra like a comfortable feeling for people to use it. I think it's a really good way to stand, it's not, even though it's centralized swap, but the guarantee is coming from decentralized entity, and that I think that's the most of the is important for the user. He knows that it's decentralized way. He will get reimbursed if something gets stuck.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And in my mind, I'd like to have the language as like scary as possible, so that you know, they understand fully going in, so that if it happens, they're not surprised or shocked. and even have the language such that like it just scares some people off from even doing it. Period. I'd rather have people just not do it than do it blindly, knowing that they can get reimbursed type thing. Um, because yeah, I think even reimbursing someone is still just I don't think it's good. It's just I think it'll just look really bad. Um, but yeah, no, dude, it's a good idea. I'll bring it up, chat with the guys about it.
No, absolutely. The reimbursement is it's just the last that last line in the sand. I'm not a fan of this as well, but it's just giving the fuzzy feeling for the user that they can go for it, and I think it's really good for us. So yeah, I have a lot of notes as well. So we had we don't have the chat here, but maybe you can turn on like Patriot can answer. We had from Odin, we had minimum swap per block as well. Should we
Well,
discuss this?
actually, Coke, I was gonna say let's keep the conversation to the front end for now. I know Cal is up
Yeah.
here. He might want to talk about it, and let's wait till we change the subject. Do you have any other things you want to talk about with the front end?
Let's see. With oh, I did have, yeah. So you mentioned in Discord as well. You saw my so when I want to swap from Solana to Rune, I don't get any quotes. So do you have any feedback about that?
Yeah, that's not available yet to go across decks. That's something they'll work on in the future.
Yeah, understand. Do you know the reasons why it's not available? Because is it because we cannot mix and match the protocols, or what's
Yeah,
going on there?
it's not. Yeah, the aggregator is pretty like immature.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
not complicated enough yet. Lots still needs to be fixed, be built on it.
Okay. So just in case, maybe it's not possible because we cannot hold the funds of the user to make those two swaps. But maybe we just can display the user that, hey, for this swap, you need two swaps. You need to go. Actually, we should provide the user the cheapest way. You should go to Solana to X asset and to X asset to Rune to get this swap done. So that's just like a front end idea that we should display for the user. Although yes, it's not done. It's not possible with one click, but at least we should display them. If you do like from this to that and that to Rune, it's doable.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Mic check.
I heard you.
Works fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good.
On my phone today, technical issues. Cal, did you have anything you wanted to add on that? And thank you for saying Happy Thanksgiving to me, by the way. I saw that. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, buddy.
I
I don't
can't.
hear anything. Do you?
No, me neither. I say, is
Yeah.
Cal? I thought Cal is Canadian. Did he?
He's not. No, he's not even on stage on my X.
I see him
I
as a
mean,
speaker.
Yeah, he was
okay,
off mute.
I
But
don't.
he's. I think he said
But
he's celebrating Thanksgiving today as well too. But I thought he was Canadian. Um,
I don't know.
but
we'll
but
find out.
meanwhile, I will ask one more question. I saw the X post from Messari about THORChain. Was it paid by us, or was it just a coincidence that they finally covered us?
It's paid. So Nine Realms paid for quarterly reports, and
Okay.
so that was the Q3 report. I think there's one more left what they paid for.
Okay.
So
See.
to do the Q4, and then we're talking to them about like renewing the contract, doing something with having THORChain like all the data in there, so that when somebody's on Masari and they like look up like DEX volumes or revenue on a crypto, whatever, all those metrics that we always complain about where THORChain doesn't show up. We want to start showing up in those searches. And so we started the talks with Masari about that, how to do it. And then we'd have like a THORChain landing page where it would have all these, Ray Analytics, how he's got like his, all his charts and everything with all his metrics. It'd be kind of like that, but on Masari. And and then Masari, part of it is like they do reports and they'll ensure that THORChain gets covered and shows up in search results and all that kind of stuff. So we are talking to them about doing it, and I started talking to Blockworks about it. They have something similar, right? So that the goal is eventually we want to be on all of these platforms, right, and have THORChain visible, so that these institutional investors, when they start doing research and looking stuff up, we show up, right? So it's not that they're looking for THORChain in particular, but if they're looking up certain metrics where we, like price to earnings ratio, for example, we should show up, right? Short THORChain should pop up, and that hopefully will get on their radar. Then they encourage them to look more into us. So these platforms are expensive, but I think long term it'll pay off. And yeah, so we've started doing the work on those.
Okay, okay. Because yeah, so they exposed by them, and I just checked out the comment section. It was kind of hostile. So yeah, it wasn't. It felt like yeah, it's not working really well. But if you say yeah, exactly when it's going to be like the revenue charts, like in the more broad of report, yeah, maybe it's going to be a good one for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
This
it's better if they post voluntarily, right? But I don't know that they ever do that. They might do a little bit here and there, but I mean, all these platforms, right? They all do this paid distribution, right? Um, I know the Blockworks analyst he's posted a few things on THORChain, like pro bono, like because he's a fan. Um, Apparently, one of the analysts at Masari is a fan as well. So, like, these guys do know about THORChain. They do like it. Well, again, maybe they're just telling that to grease us up, right? To encourage us to, to pay them, right? Um, so take it with a grain of salt. But um, apparently the analysts at these places are familiar with THORChain. They do like us. So and we just have to give them some money so they like us further.
yeah, exactly. It's so weird. Like they do like us, but since beginning of 2025, nobody reported about us. Even yeah, from the bad to good, they never brought out the decentralization, the permissionless. Yeah, it's crazy. But when it comes to the front end, the SDO, I think I don't know which website to trust. Where like which front end has done the most volume today. I think we are just neck to neck with the Swapkit today, about to take the first place. So maybe we are the first place. I don't know, but yeah, amazing job in that regards. Thank you, Kenton.
Yeah, thanks. Like I said, I'm actually surprised. Honestly, I thought I'm not lying, guys. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be hard to get people to use it. Um, to get the word out, tell people it exists and whatnot. So yeah. Um, Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully that it continues. Cal, did you figure out your mic? Do you want to try jumping in again? And did we lose Patriot again too?
Yeah, I don't. I only see you as a speaker and me. And yeah, I mean, just the STO. Excellent job. I think we are doing really well. A lot of volume today. Actually, we had a 35 Bitcoin transaction that wasn't relayed from the THORChain info bot. I don't know why, but yeah, we had that one. I'm really excited for having the referral program or affiliate program where everybody can use our code to just embed in their website. So then it's exciting, and of course the Rujira guys. Don't forget about the Rujira, the liquidations, the Orca that's going to bring us volume. I know it has been a really. I remember when the 4-5 collapse happened, and then we had this Rujira like 5-year plan. Like they will have the perps and stuff. They will bring us volume. We will dig out ourselves. But it, yeah, I have to say it has been taking longer than expected. But still, all that's the good thing. All those good things that we expected to have like already like half a year ago, nothing happened, but we still those things are still going to take effect next year in the, I don't know, January, February, whatever, like the perps, liquidations, loans. Gold Hunks has been posting all those like only chain sneak peek previews. Really excited. Nothing of Rujira actually hasn't taken off yet. So I'm really excited. I think they will bring us a lot of volume that Swap Kit, Near, or anybody else cannot actually take from us. So keep this in mind as well, guys. When we take this decentralized swapping into the account, like we are like kind of at the moment, yes, we are fighting for the crumbs between the under the table, like Kenton said. We have a lot of in-house economic activity that's going to come on board as well. So don't forget about this.
Yeah, the app layer, like that's we'll have that on the swap interface too, right? So that'll be like version 2 of the site. Once we get the L1 base layer, interface all done, get all those features done and everything. Um, hopefully that'll all be done here in the next like 2 months, and then hopefully that works out well with the app layer stuff that they're done, and then we can build, copy their front end into ours basically. And Pragmatic Monkey's on board, which is great. Basically we just like fork the Rugi trade front end into the THORChain swap THORChain front end, right? And put on the THORChain logo and everything, and people just think they're using THORChain. Um, but under the hood, it's the same. So yeah, absolutely, man. And that's something too. Like you mentioned, scraps on the table. Like I sometimes I feel like it's a bit frustrating. So like the goal of this front end is not to steal users from the other front ends. And I can't stress that enough. I know it's going to happen, um, but that is not the goal. The goal is to go after the centralized exchanges. And that was part of the reason for me pushing for this front end is that something is wrong, you guys. We've been around for 4 years now. We've been integrating these wallets for years. Trust Wallet has 200 million downloads. Apparently 20% of the entire crypto market is held on ledgers. Yet the total volume on all of these wallets is like 1/1000th of centralized exchanges. Maybe say it differently. The spot volume on centralized exchanges is 1,000 times more than what we see on all of these wallets added up together. And that's including Near's volume recently, right? Everyone's talking about the volume going to Near. If you include ours and Near, everybody's, like there's something wrong. And so I don't know what, there's some disconnect there. And so rather than whine and complain, like why the wallets getting more users? And it's just like, well, we can try, right? We can do what we can to try and get users off the centralized exchanges and onto THORChain. And but it's really hard to do that without our own front end. How do we promote THORChain when it's integrated in another interface? And I went down this route earlier this year because that was the original plan. Is that okay? We got to promote THORChain through a third party, and okay, well, let's start with Trust Wallet. They have the most downloads, and for a while, all the Bitcoin routes were just only going through THORChain. Okay, well, this is perfect. We'll promote trading Bitcoin through Trust Wallet. We'll get all the flows. Trust Wallet makes money. We make money. We're happy. Everyone's happy. But no, everyone is not happy because then another front end got mad about that, saying, "Well, why are you prioritizing Trust Wallet? What about us?" And then it opens this can of worms. Is like, okay, now we're playing favorites. Like, which kid do you love the most, right? Why don't you love me more, right? And so you really can't win. And then also it's extremely difficult to try and like you know sell your product through somebody else's store. Like it's just too hard, and just cumbersome, which makes it more costly. You can't track any data. You don't have any real control. It's just hard. And so this is part of the reason for having our front end is that, well, we have agency. We can go try and sell to these centralized exchange users, hey, come use THORChain. And now when we say use THORChain, they can actually use it. We can give them a website, but this is how you use it. And it's not going to some other front end where they might use it, right? Like now with Trust Wallet, for example, you can't even choose to use THORChain. Trust Wallet chooses for you where the trade goes, and they're just picking the cheapest route, which is fine. That's okay. That's their business, how they want to do it. That's great. But it doesn't really behoove THORChain to be sending users to, spending money on marketing to get people to use Trust Wallet when they may or may not be trading through us, right? If we're going to spend money on marketing and time and effort to get users, we want to ensure those trades are going through us, right? It doesn't make any sense. You would never hire a salesman who talks about your competition, right? That doesn't make any sense. So it's fine to have competition. That's okay. It's fine for these other front ends to integrate THORChain however they want. That's great. Um, but for us to be active in trying to get users, from centralized exchanges on THORChain, we need our own front end to do it. And how do you know that we don't succeed? Like, what if, I still contend, you guys, there's a lot of smart people in the THORChain community in the audience. Like, we put our heads to this and like we'll figure it out. Despite people arguing and disagreeing and whatnot, it actually is healthy because all these different ideas come to the surface and get vetted and get discussed, and it's kind of like strongest survive. And what if we do succeed in getting like 10% of users off the centralized exchanges onto swap.thorchain.org? Like, how is that? Why is that not a worthy goal to try to do? Right? Why should we sit here and wait for their front ends to do it? Right? Oh, you're doing this wrong. You should do this and do that. Why can't we just do that ourselves? And at least I'm not, I hope we can do that. We're going to try. I'm not saying it's for sure that we can, but at least we can try our way of doing it, and maybe it will work. And so we need our own interface to do that. So it's just simple. It's easier to sell. Same with the aggregator. Like, this is, for me as an investor, I it's frustrating. I actually feel dumb. I should have uh, investigated this better. But I can't believe from the get go that THORChain didn't have a free API for the wallets to integrate THORChain. Like, that to me is just a total no brainer. Like, I don't know why that hasn't existed. So it's only going to start happening now. Um, so we got to offer that, because we want people to integrate THORChain. We want to do whatever we can, everything we can to get users on THORChain, right, and hit it from all different angles. So yeah, if we want to be active in promoting THORChain, active in getting those centralized exchange users, we have to have a place to send them, right, somewhere to trade. And so it's the best place is our own platform.
No, it's totally correct, and actually follow your thought process. But as usual, in a hindsight, it seems so logical. I remember when you brought up that we should focus on Trust Wallet because they have the most users and this and that. But now, like let's be honest, like 9 months later, we see that this approach wouldn't be the best one. Our front end is the best idea. Our own aggregator is the best idea. Appler is the best idea. So yeah, everything you said makes sense. And hindsight, yeah, you just go and learn as you go.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, like when we start promoting and marketing THORChain, um, it'll percolate in people's brains, right? And so not everybody will be interested, whatever. But then one day someone's going to open their ledger and go place a swap, and and they see THORChain and like, oh, I've heard of them. I know those guys. Okay, I think I'll use it. Right. So, there's outside of Trust Wallet, from what I can tell, most of the other front ends, you have to actually select the exchange you want to go through. Right. It's no longer the idea that THORChain is this invisible behind the scenes infrastructure is wrong. That is not true. That is not how this is played out. You actually have to choose THORChain. Um, and a lot of the interfaces will just have a default route for you that is the cheapest or the fastest, which is fine. That's great. Good on them. That's what the users want, and they're offering that service. That's great. Um, but if the only way THORChain can win, get to the top of that list repeatedly, and all those users want are just the cheapest trade possible, um, maybe THORChain can never do that, right? Maybe we're always going to be slightly more expensive. Does that mean we just have to sit on our hands and just accept we're always going to be at the bottom of the list and not recommended by any of these front ends? And they're just, we'll just continuously continue to lose volume over time? Well, no. I mean, we can have our own front end and prioritize THORChain. And, maybe with a brand, like again, not everybody is interested in paying the lowest price possible. There's other factors going into why people pay for the product, right? So um, on our front end, at least we can be top of the list. We can ensure the volume goes through us, and we get it, and we can have a bit more control over our destiny. So
Hey, can you
all
guys hear
the
me?
yes, Cal, go ahead. Okay, I'll let you
Hey,
jump in and talk.
all
Yeah.
right. Happy Thanksgiving. Sorry to cut you off. I'm driving to the family's house, so I've been kind of in and out. Um, but I have been listening. So, yeah, I mean, I want to start by saying I think what you're doing with the front end is really amazing, and I'm a huge fan of it. So I'm not trying to nitpick you in any sort of way. I think the vision of what the front end is supposed to be is diverging a little bit from what I think I expected. Um, and I'm not sure that aggregating other dexes is going to achieve the goal of the front end, which is to maximize THORChain volume. And I think it helps to kind of define the goal. Like, is the goal to maximize THORChain volume, or is the goal to maximize volume for the front end? And I don't think that you can do both at the same time. And I know you commented that they're not mutually exclusive, but I do see that volume is a zero sum game. If someone swaps one Bitcoin on Jupiter, for example, they're not swapping one Bitcoin on THORChain. Um, and while I think a lot of people want to swap on THORChain, if you give them a THORChain interface that routes somewhere else, they may see it in their mind as, well, I am swapping on THORChain, even though they're not swapping at the protocol level. So now, maybe the interface is earning a fee from that, but the THORChain protocol is no longer earning a fee from that. And as a Rune holder, that kind of takes out of my pocket, both as a Rune holder and as a TCY holder. So that's where I see that part diverging.
If
Yeah, go ahead.
the token isn't trading on THORChain, how does it take out of the Rune and TCY holders' pocket?
I guess that's specific to if a token's not trading on THORChain, but it opens up a brand problem where, in your intro, you said, come to swap.thorchain.org and swap on THORChain, but you can't really use that tagline if you can come to swap.thorchain.org and then swap not on THORChain.
Well, to be honest, I think it's very easy to correct any confusion if, again, the trades are prioritized through THORChain, right? If the token can trade on THORChain, it goes there. If that token does not trade on THORChain, sorry, trade goes there, zero fee. If then the logic goes, if it's not on THORChain, it'll look for Maya, and we'll trade there, zero fee. And the reason with that is we view Maya as our friends, that we work together, they're helpful. We have more of a partner relationship than a competitive relationship. And then it also, Maya acts like a backup for THORChain, right? So that if trades are down on THORChain for whatever reason, something like that, then it'll go through Maya, right, and kind of keep it in the family. If it doesn't trade on Maya, then it looks for DEX aggregation, right, to go somewhere else. So this trade is impossible to go through THORChain. There's no one's missing out on anything. So what can happen is the user has a choice. Two things can happen. We cannot offer the route, and the user like, okay, this sucks. I have to go to another website and go place this trade. And then the user is getting used to another site, and maybe they start using that because they're like, this one, I like this site because it has more tokens. I'm just going to keep using it, and they never come back to the THORChain swap site. Or we do offer it on the THORChain swap page. The user's happy. He stays there. He hasn't been sent away. He's like, oh, I can trade everything I want here. I'm going to stay here. And then eventually when that token does start trading on THORChain, we just do a switcheroo, right? It's no longer going to DEX aggregation. Now it's prioritized to THORChain. The user is like, I like this site. I'm just going to keep using it. I'm not too worried. In theory, hopefully it's cheaper anyway, right? To prioritize THORChain versus the other DEX. So hopefully it's win-win for everybody. And so the idea is to keep the user and not lose them. So I don't see how sending them away will do anything. Like it's will hurt THORChain. And then actually you can add to that whatever fees we collect from the DEX aggregation supposed to go to the treasury, and I'll talk to JP about it. And I think we'll just use that for more marketing, right? We'll just take those fees to keep promoting the front end. And so if we get more fees from DEX aggregation, that's more paid ads, more paid promotion, to get THORChain out there, to help people buy Rune, invest in TCY, what have you. So yeah, it's not a direct benefit to THORChain, but I think the indirect benefits are great for very little. Like I get it. I mean, it's not good. Like, oh, we can't we have to send you away. But like, I mean, I do this all the time in business. I don't know what business you guys are in, but if I can't do something for a client, I refer them somewhere else. And if I'm starting to refer people to to other people, they recognize that, they think highly of me. They talk highly of me. They start referring business to me. It's kind of like just kind of like trying to do good for people, right? Trying to help. So if I'm dealing with somebody and they're always like, well, I can't do this, but I can introduce you or whatever. I'm like, oh, this guy's great. Like he's trying to help me. He's trying to help me get what I want, what I need, right? The customer doesn't care about us. The customer cares about himself. What are you doing for me? How do you make my life easier, my life better, right? I don't give a dang about your life. My life is what matters. So the better we can make our users' lives, the more easy, the more comfortable, the convenient, whatever, the more sticky they are with us. And that's what helps building our brand and people sticky to us. So yeah, I guess, I mean, I can see how somebody would be like, oh, well, there's, sending a trade elsewhere. But, if we make it clear this token does not trade on THORChain, we're offering this other route for you and charging a fee. Like, I don't see what's wrong with that. Yeah, I'll stop.
So
Let you
on
jump in.
tokens, yeah, on tokens that are traded on THORChain, are those routes not shown then? So is it like if I do Bitcoin to Ethereum, obviously that's THORChain, but also there's plenty of protocols that do the same route. Is the user able to choose a different route from the front end than THORChain?
No, the front end's choosing the route for you. So
So the front end chooses the route completely. There's no route choice at all for the user.
that's right.
I do think that makes it better. I'm not going to say like convinces me, but it definitely makes it better. I did quote a swap that was clearly not possible on THORChain, and it wasn't obvious to me that swap, was happening on another protocol. I don't even think I could see the name of wherever it was happening. So, I'd say my biggest kind of counterpoint, and I understand that, if you can build something that makes money and you can make that money and use it for something good, that's generally a good thing. But if a user's coming to thorchain.org to swap, they I would say that they're expecting to swap on THORChain. So, there's plenty of people out there that swap for many different reasons, whether it's the cheapest, the fastest, or, by protocol. And if someone comes to THORChain and they're swapping and they, maybe THORChain makes it obvious, maybe it doesn't, but they're, if they look at the blockchain and they see that their swap got routed somewhere else, I could see that kind of causing not only confusion, but a lot of potential problems. And, the problems aside, the confusion part would be, is THORChain now a DEX protocol, or is it a DEX interface, or is it a DEX aggregator? And I think that putting this all on the thorchain.org site kind of confuses that, because I would think that the THORChain, swap interface would maximally, uh, you know, optimize and choose the THORChain routes, as opposed to offering other things. And I remember when these discussions started, it was largely because there was a near intense interface that is zero fee for near intense. And I don't really use it much, but my understanding is that it's only near intense. Like, they're not aggregating you to other assets. And if it's not on near intense, then it's not on that site. And you kind of expect that as a user because you went there to swap near intense.
Yeah, that's fair. It's valid. That makes sense. That's why I keep stressing you guys. The site is not done. We need to add a lot of things. So, like, adding, like, being more clear where the trade is going, what's happening, having transaction tracker. Absolutely. Um, and I do see your actually I do see your point about, like what is THORChain? Is it a DEX aggregator? What is it doing? Blah blah blah. I could see that from, like, a superficial point of view, but I think if we just be clear what's going on, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that hard of a concept to swallow. Um, so maybe, yeah, I just think, like, if the trade's going somewhere else, we just say this token doesn't trade on THORChain. We're offering you a different route at this price. Like, I don't know. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Let me put it this way. In my mind, whoever gets butthurt about that, fine. Like, you can't please everybody, right? It's impossible. I think so. It's just, who do you piss off the least? And I think we'll piss off much less people doing this way. Somebody's really butthurt that THORChain should only do THORChain roots. It's like, all right, well then fine, then don't use it. Like, all right, sorry, then we're just trying to offer you something great. If you disagree, you don't think it's great, that's fine. That's okay. Um, I think the majority of people are going to be okay with that and be happy about it. So that's the best we can do, is just try to make the most people happy.
Yeah, I mean, I generally agree with that. I think the issue for me is that the average person that uses things is pretty stupid. Um, so when someone comes to something like that, I just think the identity of what THORChain is gets diluted. Um, and I do still see the zero sum of, you know, I get that it's pulling from other protocols using the, whatever revenue comes in. And then if it's a THORChain swap, I think you solve that nicely where, if THORChain can handle it, then you don't show the other protocols. But again, I just think if you're telling someone come to this website so you can swap on THORChain, but then when they go to that website, they're not swapping on THORChain, that just introduces like a whole can of worms, in my opinion. And then how do you choose which protocols to support and which to not support? I remember you mentioned this last week, which is like, should we allow, sex aggregation? And I know that's probably an ongoing discussion, but it kind of becomes a question of, like, everything's a spectrum of decentralization. And if THORChain is maximally decentralized, how do you choose what the thorchain.org site should support? Because at the end of the day, if it's the official THORChain site, by supporting a protocol, you're kind of stamping THORChain's name on that protocol.
What do you mean stamping THORChain's name? Like on? You mean on the decks, on the other decks, you mean? Or on
Well,
like
yeah, essentially you're telling the user this DEX protocol has been vetted and is good to use. Potentially even above and beyond THORChain. Even though we know THORChain can't support that asset, the user might not understand that.
yeah, that's fine. I agree with you. A lot of people are not too sophisticated. And that's why I think most won't care. They're like, well, they just give me something easy to use. Right. I don't really care what's going on. The people that get their panties in a knot, I mean, they're always going to exist, right? You can't cater to them. Um, the if you say, so that's a valid point. I agree with you when you say, hey, come trade on THORChain, and then they come and they place a swap and they go somewhere else. And then like, why? I thought I was doing this on THORChain. Why is it going somewhere else? That makes sense. That's valid. Um, but again, I think a simple note saying this token is not available on THORChain. We are offering it to you through our competitor. Like I don't I don't know who's going to freak out about that. If you freak out, fine. Again, all right, see you later. Like we can't, we can't please everybody. It's not going to happen. Um, but I want to come back to the idea of the aggregator. If it's live and working, and part of it us having on our site is that it's like it's being developed and worked. It's something that we can sell to other wallets, to their front ends, to integrate, right? So they can see it how it works in live on our front end, and then they can integrate it into theirs. So it's part of the method to the madness. So it's yeah, we're not going to be able to please everyone, right? So it's just going to be who do we just minimize how many people we upset. So yeah, man, I think you're right, but I don't think it's I think your concern is valid, but I don't think it's like a major one. Like it's gonna really upset things. Um, but we'll find out, right? Like, I mean, I'm definitely open to being wrong. We'll find out when we start, really start promoting the site, getting people to use it. If this becomes a recurring problem, like, oh shoot, okay, maybe this isn't a good idea. Um, we'll deal with it then. So I'm not trying to say that it has to be this way and it's never going to change. We're going to listen to the customers, right, and see what's going on, what the feedback is. So I think it's worth taking that risk, that chance to see how people react.
Yeah, that's fair. And to be clear, I'm not like enraged about this. I just think the identity of THORChain gets a little jumbled, in the process of this, in my opinion. So I just wanted to make sure that, at least at that part of things, I do see this as like a past and unless, you know, there are pros to it, and I definitely see where you're coming from with those. I do think that your point about THORChain, like if that route exists on THORChain, then you are not given the option for the other routes. I think that probably solves like 30% of the issues for me. Um, so I do see your points on that. I still would, agree on those, and then maybe just disagree on the the branding. I think the branding is a huge kind of hurdle for me. And then outside of that, I think there's a lot of things coming where I know Chad's talked about this, but having long tail assets and allowing node operators to kind of be the decision makers on that, I do think will kind of make a lot of this a moot point in the long run. So my operating thesis with everything is try it, and if it doesn't work, you get your hand slapped, pull back and change directions. So I'm not fully against doing this. I do see quite a few cons with doing it. And I do think that it'll hopefully over time, as that upgrade comes out, the long tail assets will be supported anyways, and we'll have spun our wheels about this for no reason anyways. But I do see a kind of short term branding impact. And I guess I would toss a question back to you, and I'm gonna have to jump out of here soon. But have you thought of maybe branding the the SDK that you guys are working on, and I'm a huge fan of that as well. I think THORChain should have had APIs from the beginning, open source APIs, and said if you want to integrate, here's and Near actually has this. It's called One Click. So I do think THORChain should have something like that. Have you thought of, branding that as something specific? And obviously the kind of like low hanging fruit would be like something like THORKit, but for example, Near Intents with One Click or some of these other protocols have come out with kind of a spin-off. I think Chainflips is called Broker as a Service. So I do think some of these ideas would be really good as kind of like a spin-off to THORChain, so to speak, because then you get good brand separation as opposed to everything just being kind of umbrellaed under THORChain.org. That's where I think you kind of get some confusion.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't thought that far ahead. I think right now the aggregator is being branded as a UKIT. It's unstoppable, right? It's their aggregator. So, we're basically financing them to build it. And then, but yeah, like you're right. We should have like a THORChain kit. Because that is, and you're right too. Hopefully, this is all a moot point in several months, which to be honest, I'll be surprised. I mean, the only way the long tail assets is going to work with THORChain Intents is that we support the base chain, right? I mean, it's taken 2 years for Solana, like I've kind of given up on everyone's timeline about adding chains to THORChain. So, those intents for long tail assets are only as good as having the base chain there. So, I don't think we're going to be adding, 50 base layer chains in the next year. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening. So that's why I feel like this, you know, aggregator in the meantime is just something for us to do and work on and have and offer. But that is ultimate. JP has talked about this. This is ultimately the goal. He wants to have just one API for a wallet to integrate. It's free and it offers every token, and they all go through THORChain. That's the end goal. So yeah, that is the end game. What it's called, how we sell it, we'll see. But yeah, that's the end game.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's definitely a good approach. I know it's been a little frustrating with the new chain integrations. I do think that THORChain's approach to integrating chains is significantly different than things like Near Intents and other protocols. They're able to obviously live on a different side of that spectrum when it comes to decentralization. So the way you integrate chains is very differently when you're trying to go for essentially maximal spread. But yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of trying things, and I'm not fully against what's being done with the front end, but I do think, again, these branding points are things that maybe should be considered. If things can be spun off and just branded a little bit differently, I guess the verbiage is where things get a little entangled for me. But overall, I think you're doing a good job with everything, and the front end looks great. So keep up the good work.
Cheers, man. Thanks. Yeah, I want the feedback. Right? As much as it sucks hearing people complain or criticize, like it's good. We need it, right? I need it. Like we have to, like I said, family and friends, right? We need you guys to bring this stuff up. We don't need strangers don't have any relationship with THORChain, right? Because it's just more ugly. So and yeah, and this is how we don't operate in an echo chamber, right? And everybody comes up with their ideas and their criticisms, what have you. So yeah, no, thanks for bringing all that stuff up, man. Yeah, I think yeah, I don't disagree with what necessarily with a lot of what you said. We just may have maybe where we disagree is on the impact, the how much impact one thing has versus another. I'm kind of the way we've been approaching this is just kind of like let's just get things going, get things live, and kind of like ready, shoot, aim. And that might be the wrong approach. I don't know. We'll see. We're just like let's just get things going, see how it goes, see how people react, and then fix it along the way. Um, So yeah, no, thanks for your input. I have more people come up like you, Cal, and say stuff like that. Like I don't. Um, I want more dissenting voices and more ideas. Right? We need that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for the the platform to talk about it. I think, and I definitely don't want to come off in like a, and I hope my tweet didn't come off that way. It's like a complaining voice, more just like, hey, have you considered this angle of things? So I've always appreciated that about you, and I am a huge fan of the ready, shoot, aim approach. So yeah, just keep doing it, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that will be happy to tell you that you're wrong about things. That's the internet. Um, but yeah, I think you're doing great, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and have a great day.
Cool. Thanks, Cal. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. And no, I didn't mean to say you were complaining or necessarily anyone else. I just meant in general. That's why it's so much easier to talk, guys, because like on a text, you never know what somebody's tone is. Like, or especially if someone you don't know if English is their first language, right? So you read something and it's like something comes across weird, but then you realize English is their second language. So yeah, no, it's meant in general. Anybody has criticisms or whatever concerns. Um, didn't mean to like point at you or anyone else in particular. Crypto XE, are you up here? Did you come up? Did your mic work?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
GM, happy Thanksgiving for everyone who is celebrating. Hope you have a nice day. Yeah, nice conversation. I think it's good to put the word out there, have some opinions that are maybe not always aligned to come across because I think one of the mistakes in the past has been just to be in an echo chamber. And I think from the discussion I saw, like we kind of were triangulating a bit um, between the posts you and Carl and I were posting and so on. I think my main point here is more on um, what you were saying. So we had the issue with any other interface like Trust Wallet, those and others. They were trying to swap on THORChain, and then another provider comes, and that's what you were saying. Now, I think that's a bit clear. Now they will not have the chance to choose, then it will just be by default THORChain. I think the only point where I'm still a bit undecided is, if there's a route that, for example, a user wants to do, let's say through Jupiter, well, that doesn't really, and there's no competition really with THORChain. Then I think that should be fine, right? Like someone that wants to do Solana to whatever Trump coin or that really doesn't affect. But where I think it was not so great is that if there's a route that Torchen doesn't support, right? But um, that that provider also is a competitor in other routes, then that's where I thought that it should not be shown there. So I see it a little bit as well, we ran out of Coca, but I'm Coca-Cola and I sell you Pepsi. That was not so great. And we also had a small discussion about that. But I think this also hides another thing. Like, um, yeah, we had the issue with Solana, 2 years not there. We need to just try to push as much as possible in that side, because I also don't like to be a bit complacent on that front, where we would say, well, we don't have Solana now, but then go to my friend, and that kind of give us some leeway or free pass until that's get done, because at least someone can swap there. I don't think that really benefits us at all, and I think the focus should just be to if that route is requested and it's not there, just bring it in. So I think as and this just comes from the perspective of a THORChain interface, and my main concern on this was like do not do a repeat of what had happened in the past. um and the second point I wanted to make is, you were saying like about Torchen appearing at the bottom of the list. I think the big elephant in the room here is like um, this is kind of artificially subsidizing, right? In a certain way, right? The fees, right? Because you say, okay, our Torchen has no fees, and then this other one has fees, and then therefore likely that volume will go through Torch unless you force it. But I think the core point that I'm more focused on is this is just um, more superficial, right? Like the deeper problem here is on competition. I think most interfaces do not give any preference into, if you do a Bitcoin Ethereum swap, they just get quotes and whatever is the best quote, then that's where it gets routed. And I think that needs to be the end goal for us, because even if we do it like that in the interface, that's fine, but how much of the market are you going to cover through the interface? Eventually we hope it grows a lot more, but this is just hiding a bigger problem, which is those rights need to become more competitive. So I think those were my 2 points that I was trying to bring across through the post that I was putting. And at the end, I mean, I think it's welcome that people try to contribute in one way or another, not only you but others. And any extra volume to THORChain is welcome. And I think my goal was just to say, well, let's not put if it's the THORChain interface, let's not send volume somewhere else, because that's also not done by any other interface, like flagship interface by Near or by Chainflip or any other guys, because they want to keep all those routes for themselves.
Dude, I totally agree with adding the route to THORChain, but I mean, it can't be done in a day, right? Like, as far as I'm concerned, THORChain should have literally every cryptocurrency on it. I don't disagree with that. I think we all do. I think a lot of us. That's why a lot of us are butthurt from like the whole THORFi, uh, uh, what do you call it, left turn, detour. That's not why I got on a THORChain. I got on a THORChain to have the top 100 tokens listed. Um, but it's just not happening, right? So that's the crux of this. What do we do if we don't have the token, right? So I hear you guys. There's a camp saying, "Well, just don't offer the route, period," right? And I'm in the camp where we should offer it through somewhere else. So um, I think we'll have to agree to disagree, type thing. Yeah. Um,
I think the nuance there is just like who does the route goes to, right? Like, because, or at least in my mind, because on the extreme example I was thinking of was, let's just put a route that THORChain does not have, right? Like, let's say Solana SEC. And let's imagine for the last 8 months, this has been a very profitable route, right? Then with the proposal that you were saying on the tweet, then basically all the volume that wanted to do swaps through there would have most likely send volume to, let's say, Near. This is where I feel a bit from the THORChain specific interface. These are the type of routes that are not very aligned. Why? Because even if you take a fee, that also is generating volume for and generating fees for a direct competitor. So I think there's a difference on saying, for example, oh, we routed to 1inch for some long tail asset from Ethereum. Well, good, right? That's not a big deal, but I don't think it's or for example, someone wants to do Solana Arbitrum, same example, right? Then are we okay sending and let's assume this is a massive route? Are we okay sending this volume to a direct competitor like Chainflip? And I think my point is, from a user interface, yeah, sure, you just want the most volume possible, but my feedback was just that this, at least in my view, does not help too much for the room holder or for THORChain, because this um, does not contribute towards the main goal, which in my view should be more volume for THORChain.
well, let's walk down the second, third, and fourth order effects. So first off, if somebody wants to swap Solana for Zcash or whatever route that isn't on THORChain, and they're on the THORChain front end, and they enter in that pair, and like, okay, this isn't supported. Does a person just go, all right, well, I'm not going to do it? Or do they go online and start looking, where can I do this trade? Right? I think it's more likely the user goes online, starts looking for another exchange, another website to go place that trade. And they go find it, they place that trade, and then like, oh, hey, well, I can swap Bitcoin and Ethereum here. I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to go back to that THORChain site. I'm at my new site. So we just sent the user away. We just lost the user. And that does not benefit Rune holders or TCY holders because we lost a customer. Um, it's in our benefit to keep the customer. Now, we may not, the TCY and Rune holders may not make money off that user on that exact specific route. But that user is like, hey, I can trade all my tokens here. I don't have to go anywhere else. A month later, whatever, they're like, yeah, I want to trade Bitcoin for Ethereum. Go back to my favorite website, swap.thorchain. They place the trade. Then the Rune and TCY holders benefit, right? So it's not like with your clients, with your customers, you don't have to make money on every single exact action they do. You just have to make money on the majority of their actions, right? It's okay, to give them free water or free bread. Like it's okay, not to make direct money on something, right? The idea is that they're going to stay with you for the long term. You're going to get repeat business, and they're going to bring more business to you, right? So, um, uh, I think that's worth it to keep that user, and hopefully they come and trade the tokens that are on THORChain, and they don't go away somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the point. What I'm trying to say is more like, I mean, you just yourself said it, right? Like it was a mistake to not have a THORChain API where that was integrated everywhere, right? You give away to someone else that. This is exactly doing the same, right? Like if right now we don't have this route, okay, now we put someone else. I mean, this in my view is exactly going in that direction. And again, if it's a user interface, of course you want to maximize the revenue that you make, or not you directly, but that interface. Yeah, of course you just want to integrate as many chains, and I think the issue is, of course, if a user wants to swap Solana to SEC and it's not available in the interface, they're just not gonna wait and you know stay there until THORChain decides to bring it on. And that has been my fundamental point. Like the fundamental here, these are just corollaries. Like the key point is those routes need to be included. Now, on the second level is, do we want to send that to an interface or to a protocol that is competing and send money there? And my extreme case was, imagine that then suddenly THORChain, like in a very extreme case, is sending like 50% of the volume to a competitor. Are we going to be happy about that just because that route doesn't exist to us, while we strengthen a competitor who has competing routes, even though that specific route that doesn't work? That was where I was thinking of. But again, I mean, this was just sharing my view because I think it's important that that other people and other interface also become more active in sharing those opinions, and hopefully we end up in the best possible outcome for THORChain. I mean, we discussed that also privately, but I thought like we all want THORChain to succeed as room holders. So at the end, that's my goal.
So, well, let me ask you: if somebody wants to trade a million, you said 50% of the volume is. Well, let's just pretend, that the swap interface does 10 million in volume a day. 5 million is going through THORChain, and there's 5 million going to, let's say, near. Um, if those routes weren't available on the THORChain front end, do you think that 5 million in volume, like those people just wouldn't trade, period? Like they would just give up and not place the trade anywhere else?
No, that's what I said when I was just like a minute ago. I said they're not gonna wait until THORChain brings it. I mean, that's the key realization, right? Like we should just say, someone wants to swap, they will find a way. And that's why volumes have gone down, because people just want to swap. They don't find it, they go somewhere else. So the key point is we need to have those routes. But the second point is, if they want to swap and they're competing on the key routes, right? Because this is not like this is a 80-20 thing. Most of the volume is in very selected routes, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, stables, etc. If you have someone competing for those key routes, why send volume to them on other routes that will make it likely, oh, those guys also support that, why don't I trade there where they can do it all, right? And they have no fees. So like I just don't think it's such a great idea to as I again, like it depends who you integrate, like if it's a direct competitor on the main routes or not. From a THORChain perspective, from my interface, I think it makes absolutely sense.
Um, well, I think so. Yeah. So okay. So I think we agree that 5 million volume would exist anyway. So we're not making the competition better or helping them because they're going to get that volume anyway. If it goes through our interface, we can at least capture the fee, make some money off it, and then use that fee, that money, to further promote THORChain. So if we don't collect a fee on it, somebody else does. That's less money for us to use to put towards THORChain. So I think it does benefit THORChain. It may not be immediate, but in the medium to long term, I think it benefits us. If we're getting lots of these fees, and we can just dial up, like, man, we can afford to waste like $100,000 a month on pay per click or pay per view or something. Get THORChain into 20 different research platforms. Guys, we get into these research platforms. It could be like $500 to $1 million a year type thing, just to be on all those platforms, right? And if we have the money from DEX aggregation helping pay for that, great. We're getting THORChain out to the world. So that volume is going to exist anyway. Why don't we get paid for it and use that to promote THORChain further?
I agree. I think my point is just that people usually do look into competitors, and like if I'm gonna swap there and you're gonna put a fee on top, it's gonna be cheaper to go to their own interface anyway, right? So they're still gonna, so we might be arguing about nothing because maybe they don't even care. It's gonna be cheaper in their own new interface, and then don't do it. My point is more like, why even send there? Because let's just go through your example, right? Those 5 million, they're still gonna swap, but they're gonna pay whatever, 5 bips, 10 bips, whatever you guys are gonna charge, right? But then at some point they realize, oh wait, why am I paying this 15 bips, right? Why I'm not going to the interface direct? And then they say, well, wait a second, I was coming here because I was swapping these THORChain routes, but it turns out that they also have these THORChain routes. So now why do I, come back? And in the meantime, you have sent all this traffic from an SEO perspective and users to them while they're still in your platform, but they would just be swapping somewhere else, right? The effective volume. But anyway, I mean, that just I think we kind of agree to disagree in that point. My point here is not to any to change anything, or just to raise a different point of view on some sort of segregation of what would benefit THORChain of aggregate on and whatnot. Obviously, having the THORChain kit would be extremely good in the long run, and that should be also a priority.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying. That doesn't make sense. I get it. So you're saying if the user swaps on THORChain, they see a competitor with a fee on top, they're gonna be like, oh, who's this competitor? And they're gonna go right to that competitor's site to try and avoid the fee. Then they're gonna see Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else on the competitor, and then they'll just stay there and not come back to THORChain. So we've shot ourselves in the foot.
Correct.
But I see. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. that makes sense. Um, that's a good point. Yeah. Let me ask you this. This is something we've been trying to figure out. Um, what if trading is halted on THORChain? Right, this happens, right, and it might be halted for a couple hours, maybe even several hours, right? Someone's on the THORChain interface. Um, they can't place a trade on THORChain. Then you know, it follows then it starts following the swap logic that if you can't trade on THORChain, it goes somewhere else, right? Goes looks at Maya, goes to DEX aggregation, and we were thinking still offer the trade. So let's say somebody wants to swap Bitcoin for Ethereum, rather than saying no, THORChain is down, you can't do it, to put them through. Let's say it has to go through near, but then just offer zero fee. Like there's no fees on routes that can be traded on THORChain. So if for some reason THORChain is down, like what happened the other day, like I said, if the API doesn't respond, um, then routes like a route that should go through THORChain could end up going through near or someone else, and we figure, well, we'll just charge zero fee on that. But the idea is to still help the user place the trade, um, and not force them to leave, go somewhere else. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is the goal, right, from the user interface to protect that, like, I think most users just want to swap, and they have the very short term risk on the swap execution. So they mostly believe that every interface, if they integrate certain provider, they're safe enough. I think from a user interface perspective, is much better if there's a backup, right? Because then those users who want to swap, they still have an option. If you charge no fee, then, well, I guess that's fine, and then only make them available if you're down. But I think most of the competitors, if they're down, it just happened recently. There was some issues on Stellar, on Near, and others. You just cannot swap. Um, and I think that's the kind of the trade-off. The trade-off is, do we want to, you know, put the user first, where no matter where they swap, uh, you know, they have still an option, or do we just say, well, routes things that benefit torch and volume only? Then in this case, if that's a priority, then you just say, well, sorry, we cannot swap for now. And obviously that is a trade-off. There's no, you cannot, as you said, keep everyone happy. So either you keep the user happy and then they swap wherever they can, or you just try to route as much volume to Torchain, and then some routes do not take place when Torchain is down.
Yeah, that's what we decided on, focus on the user, make the user happy, and keep them on the site, so that if that happens, that they can still place a trade somewhere else. Um, but I get it, like that could open up a whole new can of worms. Um, so yeah, I don't like I totally admit and acknowledge that this isn't like a perfect solution. There's going to be criticisms. But the way we were approaching it is like, well, who's going to criticize the least? What could have the most impact upside for us? So this is how we've been viewing it. But um, yeah, so we've been viewing it from like the user's point of view. What's best for the user? And as long as THORChain is getting as much as possible, like um, everything's being directed through THORChain, and that's how we're justifying it. That's how we're thinking about it. Um, but you're making me think about this now. About if the user sees another DEX and they're like, well, then maybe they never heard of Near before, and they want to go check it out, and then they just stay there. You're right. That's definitely a risk. Um, something we'll have to think about. And maybe it's just a matter of just seeing how it goes. Because there's going to be Google Analytics and everything on the site, and we should be able to kind of track, repeat people and whatnot. Um, so hopefully we can get an idea if that's happening, and then correct, right? Maybe it is a problem. Maybe this has happened a lot, and we're like, gosh, we need to stop. It's a bad idea. So want to make it clear to everybody, like this is working, like this isn't like set in stone, right? This is what we think is the best idea right now, and we're going with it. And I like what some people say, right? How's it go? Strong opinions loosely held. So the ultimate goal of this site is to funnel volume to THORChain. If it's not happening, or being volume's going, we have to fix it, right? So that's our KPI, is volume going to THORChain. Is that happening? And if it's not, if it's leaving, then we'll do what we can to fix it.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. I mean, at the end, the only thing that matters is driving volume to THORChain. So there will always be some um, hurdles to overcome, but yeah, yeah, just I think that that is being done a good job so far. I mean, volume is going up, and I think my core focus is more like, let's just push hard on these other points that are really holding a big back the potential, right? Like we can become a bit more competitive again and bring a bit more of the new change. That's where I would like that a lot of us rally, and I know you also are pushing on that front. But I think that's where the money is right now. Like bringing those to fruition as ASAP, and then just win back all that volume.
Dude, I totally agree with you on new chains. And like, this is something too, guys. I hope you understand. Like, just because this is what I'm working on, focusing on, doesn't mean this is the only thing that should be done. Like, this is the only thing I know how to do, right? I know I can do these spaces with you guys. I know I can get involved in marketing. I know I can, get this front end going. I know I can promote it. I know I can, get involved in helping THORChain do sales, but I'm not a dev, right? I don't know how to add a new chain, you guys, right? I don't know how to do that or find the people for that. So like, I've been trusting other people to do it, and like, I want those things done too. I think those are that is higher priority. Getting these other chains going. Um, it's really frustrating how long that's taking, and I think we do lose with that. So I think what I'm doing with this front end and the marketing fund, like, it's been getting a lot of attention within the THORChain community, because no one else is really talking about anything. So, but that doesn't mean I think that this is what I'm working on, what I can do and contribute to the ecosystem, right? And I hope others take that as like guys, no one paid me to do this. I just started getting my hands dirty, getting involved and getting loud, and my ideas percolated to the surface. Um, if you know how to add chains and like get in there, get involved, like start making a scene and start getting your hands dirty. Like, um, hopefully I can motivate you guys to self actualize. So I'm just doing what I can do, where I know I can add value, but it doesn't mean this is the only thing that should be done. There's I can't agree more about trying to improve the quotes on THORChain and all that kind of stuff. But like, guys, I don't know how to add concentrated liquidity to THORChain. Like, that's way out of my wheelhouse, right? So, but I agree with it. I think it all should be done. That's not something I can do and move forward. Um, so yeah, I think that's the thing too. I hope people understand what I've been working on and doing here, guys. This isn't taking away from anything else. This is all bringing in fresh blood, new eyes, moving all this stuff forward. So it's not, maybe we distract familiar Cal a bit with a bunch of questions, because he's been kind of, he's in control of a lot of things. We got to get his help on the marketing side. But other than that, this isn't taken away from any of their developments on THORChain. So this is all happening in parallel. So yeah. We got anybody else that want to jump up, ask questions, speak? CryptoXE, you got anything else you want to add?
No, just thanks for having me and hearing my opinion, and yeah, keep it going, guys.
Yeah. Well, are you still on for December 6th? We're gonna have Thor Wallet on
Yep.
Saturday, December 6th. Yeah, great. Yeah. If you guys don't know CryptoXE, he's behind Thor Wallet, and we're gonna have him represent Thor Wallet on Saturday, December 6th on that space. Yeah, looking forward to that, man. We had a good chat there one-on-one. I think the community will appreciate hearing you repeat that. So
Yeah, looking forward.
yeah,
Thanks, guys.
thank you. We got Boone. I'm approving you here. Let me know, Boone, when you can.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenton. I think that aggregating as many different sites, and even if we don't have the route, I think the user experience should be prioritized. And I do see the point that XZ was making, but to my thinking, at the end of the day, swapping is a very fungible thing. And like THORChain no longer has the moat that we did. And like we're no longer the only cross-chain swap provider. And it will really just at the end of the day, it'll come down to price and speed of execution. And that's what's going to, I mean, people are going to figure out who the best providers are, regardless if we send them or not. And so, I think an edge can be found by providing a good user experience. And yeah, if THORChain doesn't offer a route, I think the front end should, make that easy for the user so that they can feel comfortable staying on the front, like THORChain front end, and not like jump ship. So I think your method is the right one. And then my other question is, I'm very excited to hear this swap kit aggregator fork that Unstoppable is putting together. Like, so theoretically it should be easy for, say, Ledger to integrate, and then instead of SwapKit taking a percentage, we can just offer a cheaper swap directly to THORChain, like through Ledger's wallet. Would that be how that works?
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, the way it works is Wallace integrates SwapKit, and SwapKit charges. Um, I think they negotiate fees, but I think it's upwards of 20 basis points. So that's on top of any THORChain fees, and that's fine. It's a private business; they can do that. And I don't know. I feel like I probably am talking out of both sides of my mouth. So for THORChain to have its own aggregator, which follows the logic of THORChain first, zero fees, that obviously competes with SwapKit, right? Um, but it's like, well, I mean, this is like, what does anybody expect us to do? Like, who doesn't expect a business to prioritize themselves? Like, I just find it asinine that anybody could think that this is a crazy idea for us to have our own aggregator that is THORChain with zero fees. And then the reason to have the reason not to do just THORChain only, but have the actual aggregator part is because that's what the wallet wants, right? That's what the customer wants, to integrate an API where they get access to all these different tokens. And so, it's not enough for us to just have just the THORChain API and just have routes come to us for free, because then they'd have to integrate another API to get all the other tokens. And again, we're sending the customer, in this case, the wallet, we're sending them somewhere else, right, to go find another solution. when we can say, well, we have that. You can get all the tokens you want through our aggregator, but you have to prioritize THORChain first, and those are free, and then we'll charge you on the other stuff. So yes, this is gonna be competing with SwapKit. Um, but that doesn't mean I think SwapKit should be outlawed or go away or destroyed or they're evil or they're bad or anything like that. It's this is I mean, this is just prudent business from THORChain's point of view. Like as a Rune investor, it bothers me this doesn't already exist. Right. It bothers me that the last 4 years that this hasn't why hasn't there been somebody representing THORChain getting our own THORChain dedicated, zero fee aggregator out there? Like it doesn't make sense to me. So now we're beholden to SwapKit. We're friends, but they have their own business to run, right? They have their own interests, and one day it could be more financially beneficial for them to not support THORChain anymore, or support them less, us less, or whatever. And that's fine. That's how free markets work, right? But like THORChain, we have to protect ourselves, right? We have to have can't just sit here, roll over, and take it lightly. Like we gotta, provide something. Um, so hopefully with our aggregator, LeoKit, they're doing one. Well, they already have it because they built one in house for themselves for their own decks, and hopefully with some competition out there that keeps THORChain integrated into all of them, right? So then we don't have to worry about say SwapKit turning us off one day because the wallets know there's alternatives, right? But yeah, this is part of marketing, like marketing the front end, trying to get again volume on THORChain, get yield, make TCY holders whole, get the LPs back, get them back up, get the room price up. This is all about how do we get volume on THORChain, and we got to make it as easy and cheap as possible. And so this is one of the things people have been saying, for THORChain to rank higher on the quotes, we got to lower fees, improve quotes and this and that. It's like, okay, but we can also cut the fat on top of chain too, which is SopKit adding 20%, 20 bips, right? Why can't we cut that out? That helps make THORChain cheaper. So, maybe we get a wallet that wants to use our aggregator and they direct flows all to THORChain, right? It's the exact same process of THORChain, improving quotes on the base layer so that THORChain moves at the top of the list on the recommended routes on the front end. Why can't our aggregator go to the top of the list of aggregators that wallets want to integrate? It's the same thing, right? So yeah, right now we have one integrator, right? It's just SwapKit, right? There's nothing else. So hopefully we have dozens of these one day, and just like we want THORChain integrated into dozens and hundreds of different wallets. And yeah, the wallets are all competing with each other, but it doesn't stop THORChain from wanting to be integrated into all of them. The same with these aggregators. These aggregators are all going to compete with each other, and we want THORChain to be integrated into all of them. So we're trying to increase decentralization to make it more secure, or more help entrench THORChain. And the other thing is too, like I wouldn't be surprised if one day that the wallets just start building this out themselves. Like Cal told me, the LeoKit guys, they built their aggregator in a few months. That's how long it's taken the Unstoppable guys here. So I wouldn't be surprised if these wallets, like especially Trust or Ledger, for example, they start realizing that they're paying millions of dollars a year to like a SwapKit or some other aggregator, and they're like, wait a second, why don't we just bring this in house? Like why don't we just pay a couple $100,000 and do this ourselves? So I think what's naturally going to happen is the distribution is going to be squeezed. Like the SwapKits and aggregators is just going to get more and more competitive, and it's those fees are going to get squeezed. Um, um, so if we can help do that, that might help get THORChain out in front. Um, So yeah. Oh, this I keep forgetting. Maybe I'll stop there, Boone. See if you have any questions. But there's something else I keep forgetting to bring up. But if you want to add to that, Boone.
No, I mean, I love everything you just said, and whenever there was that inadvertent GitHub repo published or whatever, that was like a great surprise. Like Christmas come early, I'm like, yes, let's build out our own, middleware and squeeze those 20 bips out of SwapKit. So I think it's great. Great job.
And yeah, and then the other thing is, I keep wondering, like why is it so hard to get users off the centralized exchanges? And why? I still am. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like by now, THORChain and Near and everybody else, there should be millions of users, right? Like this is we solved a huge problem in crypto. Everyone should be trading self custody cross chain, right? And I'm like, why? Why isn't there more? And part of me is wondering, maybe it's just because it's too expensive. Like all these wallets and front ends are charging 50 to 150 basis points. And it's like, well, you can do it for 10 basis points on Binance, right? And it's like, maybe that's why nobody's moved over. So again, everyone's saying THORChain, lower your fees. Like, well, we are. We have a front end with right no fees to THORChain, just a base layer fee, which I think it's at 10 basis points. So with a double swap, that's now 20 basis points. So we are now competitive with these centralized exchanges, right? And if that's the only thing that's been preventing people from getting off sexes onto the cross-chain dexes is the cost. Well, now we've cut that out. And so, it would be nice one day if we can get our fees like as low as Binance, and then we can, we can advertise having lowest fees than any sex. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, maybe that's why we haven't had the adoption that we all think, because it's just all these front ends it's just too expensive. And so it's valid for people to say THORChain should lower its internal fees, but they have to be able to look in the mirror and acknowledge the same, right? Everyone's got to lower their fees, right? The fees across the board are high. So we got to cut those fees every which way we can. And that's what we're trying to do. So again, doesn't mean THORChain base layer should stop trying to have better quotes. That absolutely should, like, we should hit this from all angles, right? Let's be greedy. Let's get at the top of the quote list on all the front ends. Let's be the cheapest place to trade. Let's do it all, right? I think it's all great. But it's not just specific to THORChain, right? There's other layers on top of it that we can cut out. So yeah, so when I go down this thinking, I'm like, maybe the idea of being in all these wallets was like not, maybe this isn't the actual end game for THORChain. Maybe the end game for THORChain is our site, all of the volume going through our site, servicing any wallet in the world, right? So like through Memless and connecting to the site, with Memless basically, we can service any wallet in the world. We don't have to worry about getting THORChain integrated into all these wallets. We just have to get people on our site using THORChain. What if swap.thorchain.org becomes as big as Binance.com, right? And we just have all of the users and all the volume there. And we just don't really need to worry about being integrated into all the wallets, because people can already use all their wallets on THORChain, right? So,
Kenton, you are cutting off a little bit.
oh, sorry. Maybe I'll start again. So where did I cut off, Coke?
Maybe Poon can chip in, but the last maybe minute was really bad.
Okay, so
Kenton, you did not cut off for me, but Coke, you are cutting off.
Yeah,
so maybe...
okay, it's me. Sorry, Boon. Yeah, you're cutting off as well, so it has to be me.
well, I'll just repeat quick. So, what if remember we've always, the whole bet on THORChain has been integrated into every wallet, and that's where all our volume is going to come from, right? Well, what if that isn't how it shakes out? What if we have our swap interface and all the volume goes through our one website where people can use any wallet in the world? You follow me? So like, And our one interface becomes as big or huge as Binance.com, right? Everyone just goes there to use it, or like like Uniswap, everyone just goes there. So I'm not saying it should or it has to, but why not at least have that as a possibility, right? Why not, like make that, if that's the way it shakes out, great. Like I don't think anyone's going to complain. Um, someone could say, "Oh, well, it's centralized. Now you got all your volumes going through one website." It's like, well, okay, we'll deal with that afterwards. By then, all their problems are solved. We've all made a ton of money, right? Room price is up. But we'll figure that out after. And if it, and if the site gets shut down for whatever reason, we fork it. Open source. Like it's just create someone else a new site somewhere else. And I'm not saying the being integrated in wallets should stop or anything like that. Like we should do everything, right? Do everything we can. Um, but I think I guess what I'm trying to say is just like kind of like just marrying one idea, one outcome that it has to the outcome has to be like this. Well, no, let's just try everything we can, and wherever it seems to be working, okay, we start focusing more on that, right? And so we have a lot of irons in the fire, right? So yeah, so we'll see. It'll be interesting, really interesting to see how this goes next year. I'm really looking forward to like really trying to promote our front end guys, like do it properly, put real money behind it. So we'll find out.
I mean, I'm listening to this, and yeah, there's always like memoles and the best and basis points, and at least when I look at my friends and I see how my friends are trading crypto, that's honest. It's just getting access with your email and passwords. It has nothing to do with the price, with the ethos of crypto, ethos of Bitcoin being decentralized. Most of people are just using, and they come into the crypto, they come in for the money, for the upside, and the ease of use. And I think, I know, Clinton, you think like we should get like a 5% of the users from the centralized exchanges, but we cannot provide them the ease of use that centralized exchanges provide them. At the moment, at least for users, the setting up the wallet, either like through the seed phrase or like multi-sig, like 3 devices, it's inconvenient for them, and they will just go to Kraken and they just click in, like log in with the Google account, and that's it.
I,
This is how I see it at the moment, at
yeah,
least.
dude, you're absolutely right, man. I totally agree with you. Well, let's unpack that a bit. That's their first like experience intro to crypto, and they just get used to it and they get comfortable with it and they don't want to change. That's kind of where I'm going with the swap interface. Once we want people to get used to it, comfortable with it, and not want to change. We want them to be sticky, right? And I totally agree. Most new people come into crypto, they're just trying to make money. They want an easy centralized exchange. They like the password, all that kind of stuff. They don't care about self custody. Totally agree. I could not agree more. You should. I'm pretty dialed into the crypto community in Cayman, and I meet all kinds of people involved in the sector. And the people getting into crypto like professionally, like working like for foundations and stuff like that, accountants, lawyers, and directors, all that kind of stuff. You know, Founders of crypto projects, blah blah blah. Like they all believe in KYC. They don't believe in privacy. Like they're normies, right? So I get it. But there's what about the class of 2010, 2013, 2017? Like the vast majority of wealth in crypto, I would say, is owned by like the OGs, right? That understand self custody and the importance and stuff like that. Um, and I'm of the opinion a lot of them just don't know about THORChain, and we got to get them familiar with it. Um, and we don't have to have 100% of the centralized exchange users, but 5% I don't think is crazy. And I think 5% of the crypto market is interested in self custody and decentralization. They should all know and be using THORChain. Like it's crazy to me that they don't. And um, and then if we look forward, you know, my thesis, I think what's the way I think is things are going to go is the U.S. is going to push out stablecoins around the whole world, and we're going to see the unbanked, the second, third world countries adopt stablecoins. They already are, right, and they're protecting themselves from um, their own national currency inflation and whatnot. And I think the U.S. is really going to support that and encourage it and foster it and help it accelerate because these stable coins are buying treasuries, right? And so it's the stable coin issuers that are going to bail out the U.S. government and be the next round of treasury buyers. And this is we're going to see other currencies start collapsing into the dollar because more and more people are going to be leaving their local currency into stable coins. And as these stable coins are adopted throughout the rest of the world and people can actually start saving properly, they're going to be like, okay, well, what next? After they save in dollars, they're going to want to buy something else. And they've already got a crypto wallet. They've already got a stable coin. I don't think buying Bitcoin is that crazy far of a stretch. Again, not all of them have to do it, just a few percent. And then if you're in a second or third world, you're in part of the unbanked. How do you swap a stable coin for Bitcoin on your wallet through THORChain? So, as the sector grows and we get more adoption and it really spreads to the rest of the world, especially the people who need crypto, this is what THORChain is for. So, I think our user base could be huge. It should be in the millions. I think it's crazy to think not. It solves. We serve a huge market, right? So, and going back to the unbanked, like the idea that them adopting stable coins in a wallet, like those people aren't starting with an account at Kraken because they can't open an account at Kraken. They've downloaded a wallet on their phone to hold stable coins, right? And they're unbanked, right? They can't open accounts, but they have smartphones and apps. So and if their first use of doing a trade is with THORChain, then we capture that user. Oh, this is what I'm used to using. I like it. It's convenient. It's easy. Blah blah blah. They're not going to want to change. So we can start going for the OGs in crypto to get off sexes, tell them we exist. But going forward, I think there's a huge market there for us to capture those users for the first time, have their first experience with THORChain, and then have them stay with us. So I think our growth potential here is huge, and it all comes back to our own front end guys, right? We have to be able to sell it and offer it to these guys to get them to use it and get sticky and stay on it and not leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not arguing with this. Even though I said like a lot of people are they like to log in with their email or something like that, I think they're still potential users, and the front end so down. I understand why we are integrating the near intents. I see everything. Like imagine you're going to the grocery shop and you can only buy vegetables from there. So imagine you come to the THORChain front end and you just only can have Bitcoin, eat whatever we are supporting trade change. You are not going there anymore. Even imagine even it's going to be the store next to your house, but the you have Costco like a mile away. You go to Costco because you can get everything from there. The time, like just clicking the buttons. You have to understand that even the friction of I'm just saying it from my own user experience. The extra friction that you have to click buttons extra 10 times, connect wallet, accept transaction, this and that. It's insane. And that's why many times I actually went to Binance to buy this and that coin. I didn't want to go to the mask to Uniswap to click, accept, yes. And then when I want to sell the coin, like, yes, I accept. I want to sell this coin. Yes, I have this many tokens. Yes, yes, yes. And same with THORChain. I absolutely agree. And I see why we do have to have all those different aggregators with us near and chain plate. And of course, we have to keep in mind, I think that we haven't maybe addressed it clear to people. We have to keep in mind Thor, like THORChain as a protocol is a one thing. Yes, it's a ethos. The front end is to support this protocol, and front end is maybe more flexible to the other things integrated. So the thought chain itself will always stick through with those all this ethos like missionless, this and that, decentralized. But front end, we will have the small of those quirks like we integrate the near and chain and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Removing friction. That's why I've been looking at it, and that's why I pushed for that structure everything this way. Is like we want to make the user, our customer's life as easy as possible, as frictionless as possible. So that's why in my mind, it's better to offer them the route to our competition than to force the user to leave to their website. We're just adding more friction. Um, now I do actually like I do concede. I do. It is a good point that Cal and CryptoXZ made about if we're highlighting this token isn't on Thorchain, it trades elsewhere. We are introducing them to our competition. I get that. That does. I think that's very valid. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. In my brain, I think the user won't care that much. They don't because they want to avoid friction. They just want to stay on the site and just get it done. Like what you're saying in Binance. I just want to get things done. I don't want to click on all these different things. I want to stay on one page and get it all done. And that's the way I've been viewing it. So in my mind,
100%.
yeah, the user should be
With the Binance,
happy. Yeah.
yeah, with the Binance, this I think it's the perfect example because Binance its own token as well. And whenever I went to Binance, I never thought like I'm gonna support Binance token or it's business. When I went on Binance to swap, do you know what I had in mind? Only my own convenience. I didn't care like it's Kraken, Binance, OKX. It was only my own convenience, and I think this is how the most of the people will decide. Even now in this like crazy polarized political landscape that we have had last 5 years, we don't dive into the so or whatever like stores and see like who are the owners, shareholders. Like if I go to this store, who I'm supporting, nobody does it. Everybody in the end of the day, we are so busy. We have so much in our minds. We just boil down for our own convenience. And I think we have to. That's at least how I see. If you have some other evidence or some other ideas, please show me. But I think that's how the most of the users, even educated users, their own convenience. That's it. Although we say like, oh, like for example, in a political view, like you vote with your money. But let's be honest, how many people every day make this conscious decision to go to the places and vote with their money? Yes, every now and then when it's like your local, I don't know, shop, moms and pop shop. Yes, you go there just to help them out. But otherwise, 80% of her money goes for your own convenience. It goes to Amazon, stuff like that. Same with thoughts in front end, at least.
Yeah, I got what you said, but you are cutting in and out a bit. Um, exactly, man. That's how I've approached this. So I'm like thinking about the user, what's convenient for the user, what's going to make them happy. And so that was the idea behind the deck segregation. Um, that this is what the user wants. They want to stay in one place and do all their shopping in one place, to go to their Costco. Um, and then hopefully too, this becomes a moot point. in like 6 to 12 months that, you know, or at least maybe THORChain can't offer all the routes, but like 98% of the volume is going through THORChain, right? Then we don't, yeah, the irrigation's still there, but it doesn't really matter, right? No one's really using it. So, we'll see, right? We'll find out. Go ahead, Boone.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Hopefully, this is still relevant. But something I think that should be considered is like a lot of people are like, oh, volume or like THORChain's losing market share. And then I know you've raised this counterpoint that I'm about to in the past, but like volume in and of itself is not really the relevant metric. Like the better metric is revenue. And like, if Near is losing revenue on swaps, which is my understanding, then like sending them volume is actually helping us, right? Because it's costing them money. And yeah, so I think revenue needs to be looked at, not just volume. And like even if our market share volume wise is decreasing, if our revenue is going up, I think that's proper thing for us. I want to maximize revenue, or revenue is my, key metric, my KPI. And then this is jumping back a second, but also, you're saying how come people are still on sexes? Like I think, especially for normies, the friction of self custody is way higher than us who are more comfortable with it. Like the fact that if you like type one letter wrong on a transaction, that money's gone forever. Like that's scary to people. Like I got my mom into crypto over the past year, and I just had her stay on Coinbase, like because she can get a password reset, like and in a first world country with strong property rights, you're not really worried about it. But it's down the road, like when the fiat bubble starts popping and states start confiscating assets, that's when self custody is going to matter. And like that's why it matters now in the third world. And like that's why third world people are using self custodied crypto wallets, because they don't have strong property rights. But that will be coming for the first world eventually, and that's the future that we should be building for.
Yep, totally. I mean, that's the whole point of crypto, right? Um, you know, it's funny like how many when people are newer people to crypto. I'm like, if you're not in this for like privacy, no KYC to replace a financial system, like you're just LARPing. I don't know what you're doing. Um, and I know most normies don't get it, and they're just trying to make money. But again, we don't have to get 100% of these users, guys. We just need a few percent, right? And um, and we don't have to get all the normies, right? We just have to get some of these crypto OGs, right? People from several years ago. So there's definitely enough money and people in crypto who do believe in what we're doing. They just don't know about THORChain, and they don't know they can use it. And or maybe they do, but like I've had somebody tell me it's just too expensive. Right, all the front end is just like 50 to 100 basis points. They're like, this is way too expensive. I'll just trade on Binance. Like, what? Why? Why pay the extra? And especially $1 million trade. Uh, 100 basis points, 1%. That's 10 grand, right? So it's not that's not chump change. So I wonder if that's just been what's keeping these guys away. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, like you said, we have to build for the future, right? Not for the past. And yeah, I think yeah, hopefully, well, depending on your point of view, uh, it's going to be scary for some people. Are going to learn the lesson the hard way, the importance of self custody. And hopefully for us, it happens sooner rather than later. But it's gonna suck for a lot of people. Um, the best we can do is just have this ready and waiting for them. Um, yeah. Have we exhausted this topic, guys? Does anybody else want to come up? Anybody who disagrees? Want to talk about something else? I know we've been going pretty long. I should probably wrap it up. Um, maybe just I can just remind. Maybe I should have said this at the beginning. Like these spaces isn't like I speak for THORChain, that this is how it has to go. I'm representing myself here, guys, right? This is what I think is right, what I think should be done, what I'm doing, what I'm working on. Um, the THORChain Twitter account is giving me a platform to speak. But it's, you uh, I don't necessarily speak for THORChain, right? So uh, yeah, and I could be wrong about some things, but this is, try to explain to you guys my thinking, my reasoning, how I've come to my conclusions, and why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And yeah, so if people disagree or want to come up and say, talk about anything else, they're always welcome to. That's what we sit on these things for so long. Try to give you guys time to come up and talk and not cut anybody off. And um, yeah, but these spaces are for you guys too, right? So for you to be heard and talk about, bring something up, and yeah.
Absolutely, I do. I agree with you, Kenton, and also with Boone. The, the one thing that um, about THORChain is that uh, our strongest strength will show when like everything is going to. I don't want to be a doomer when everything is collapsing. At the moment, Near is subsidizing swaps. Imagine if things go left side, so to speak, then let's say USD is going to debug somewhat, like everything goes bad in financial, like TradFi. I think that's where the THORChain is going to hold the strongest. So the moment where there is a lot of money flowing around, so we know like Near had a lot of investors, and they can that's why they can subsidize the swaps. They have a lot of like free money, free capital to do stuff. But when things go hard, I think that's when the THORChain will be the strongest. Especially even now, guys, we have been pushed such a corner. We had the THORFi collapse. We had just the token price going down, and we'll still have the same amount of bond provided. Still, we have the same amount of nodes operating. So we have some bleeding out, but at the same time, we have some new people who believe in us coming in, and that's amazing. And yeah, if my audio is cutting out, like Ken said before, I'm really sorry. I hear you guys clear and loud, and yeah, I'm sorry if it's cut out.
We can hear you. It's just a little bit choppy for you, but overall we can hear you.
Okay, I'm
We
sorry about
understand.
that.
It's okay. I understand what you're saying. Um, but yeah, you're right. So like that's the one thing about, like trying to make THORChain the cheapest. Like THORChain doesn't necessarily have to be the cheapest to do well. It can also be, it can be that work on being the best, right? And so maybe the way this shakes out is THORChain ends up being like the Kraken uh, of the DEX world, right? Kraken versus Coinbase and Binance, right? Like it's not as big, but it's still big, still does well, right? But I view Kraken as a better exchange than Binance or Coinbase. Um, so THORChain can still be awesome, be the best, but maybe it's not the biggest. Maybe it's not the cheapest. Like it's not like being the cheapest isn't necessarily the best path, right? And the other thing with the volume going to Near that you brought up, Boone, like the only it doesn't make sense in my mind. If they're honestly subsidizing it, let's give them more volume so they lose more money and we make more money, right? Because we jack up our fees. Like October was a great month. We jack our fees back up. THORChain will be making more money. Well, Near loses more money. That sounds like a great thing. Um, I wonder if it is that simple. Um, the only thing I can think of is that if Near is getting all this volume, that people they just look at the volume and they ignore the revenue, and they'll be like, oh well, this is great because it's proving the use case that if Near can handle all these billions of dollars of volume and it's continuing to grow, like they'll just project that into the future. and like, okay, well, they can add fees later, right? And and then maybe that helps boost near, makes them look good. They go to other wallets integrations and like, hey, we're handling all this volume. We're doing 10 times the volume a day that THORChain is. You should integrate us, not THORChain. And maybe because they're selling the volume, right? So maybe that is the reason not to let them run away with all that volume, because then they can kind of use it against us to sell against us. Um, and then maybe they get integrated somewhere where it's just them, and then they go turn on fees. Then they start making money, but Near isn't like that. Wherever they're integrated isn't competing with THORChain or anybody else. It's just Near, and so it's not like them adding fees. All of a sudden, they'll become more expensive to THORChain, where THORChain be prioritized because THORChain isn't even in that integration. So, there might be that might be the reason not to let to try and do what we can to maintain volume. So we help us stay relevant. Um, so I don't know. I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And guys, just don't get stuck in the near volume, because we have to think about they don't make any money, and we have to think about blockchains. And the near, even if they only make volume and they don't make any money, this blockchain as a near, it's not competitive in the long run. It's like the like dot. It's like EOS. Lot of those blockchains had a lot of investment money, but in actuality, nobody went to develop on top of them. But we have Rujira developing on top of us. Keep this in mind as well. Near intents one thing, but the whole blockchain activity, you have to keep this in mind.
Yep. Interchain. You came up to speak there. Can you get a?
Yes, hello. Test.
We can. Yeah, we
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Go ahead. Yep.
No, I wanted to ask, like, how do you guys know that Near is losing money?
So apparently, they are paying the gas fees on if you're doing Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You got to pay the gas fees on each blockchain. Apparently, they're paying those, and and they're not charging any. Like, what THORChain has, like, the minimum swap fee, like the 10 basis points, and that's our revenue. Like, Near doesn't have any fees like that. Like, all of the fees you hear about that are being generated on Near, they're all going to third parties, and none of that is going towards the Near
So
protocol.
to like swap kit and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So so yeah, they're
If
not
you go,
making
if you go
any
if you go on Dune's dashboard, near intents, you can see that at the moment today, when I'm speaking, the Swapkit has made $7.8 million. The Zcash wallet has made $800,000 fees, and I think Near is bragging that they have made like 9 million in fees. And you can see from the breakdown of the fees from Dune's dashboard, almost nothing goes to the Near. And also, Near has block rewards, so they're inflationary. So when it comes to like how much money they make, they don't make anything. They subsidize and they have block inflation, and everything goes to third parties. I'm sorry, I cut in. I can't.
Okay, cool. And let me ask you guys this: who is like behind Near? Who are the investors? And because like how you describe it to me now, this doesn't sound like a business that can last for mm, forever, you know?
No, you're right. It can't. So that's the that's kind of the argument that the THORChain people have been making, is like, we just got to ride this out. Like, you know, at some point, they're going to turn on fees, right? At some point, they're going to decide we can't keep losing money. We have to start making money. And Um, and when that point comes, then in theory, we should be more, our quotes should be more competitive. Um, but unless THORChain wants to lose money, it's like, I think it's technically impossible for us to compete. So, the best we can do is just, keep doing our thing at a good price. And I've experienced this before with in precious metals where uh, uh, there's dealers who would sell gold coins below the wholesale price. And the dealer I work through is like, we don't know how it's possible. This is like they're selling the coins for less than our cost. So like they're losing, in theory, they're losing money on selling these coins. Like how's that possible? Right. They're selling for less than the wholesale price. Um, and the answer is because it's a Ponzi scheme. And so it works until it doesn't. And at some point, right, it unravels. And then it's kind of like musical chairs. Whenever it stops, it's those people, those last few people standing, the ones that get hurt. So I'm not trying to say Near is running a Ponzi scheme. That's not what I'm saying at all, guys. Um, but like you said, it can't go on forever, right? At some point, it's got to stop. At some point, they got to be like, we got to stop losing money, and they're gonna have to start charging. Like it's and the,
Yeah, they are doing like a undercut, you would say, no?
yeah, yeah, and so
They're trying to undercut us. So now let me ask you this question: if it's an undercut, then it's a little bit like a game of resources, right? And how does THORChain stand? How long can they undercut us without us having a problem? If you understand what I mean?
yeah, I do, and this is where I was going with it is in there. So the response in the with the gold dealer with the selling the coins is we just keep charging our fee, and it's more than what these other people are doing, and we lose business to them, and okay, that's how it's going to go. But meanwhile, we stay in business and we keep providing service. Our clients who understand what's going on want to stay with us. They don't want to get involved in that other dealer. Don't want to take any risks. They know something isn't right, and eventually that other dealer blows up, goes away. Meanwhile, our business remains and grows. So it's playing the long game. And that's all THORChain can do. Just keep just work on being the best. It's not to be the cheapest, just work on being the best. And as long as we're making money, processing trades, people are happy, there's no funny business, then fine. We take a dip in the volume for a bit. But if I don't know, maybe it does get to the point where I'm not saying near a blow up, but let's say they go to add fees and all of a sudden now they're more expensive than THORChain. Now THORChain goes to the top of the list and we capture all that volume. But Near doesn't have a choice because they have to start
And
charging fees.
quick question in between. Near gets most of its volume from aggregators, right? And these aggregators also have THORChain integrated mostly.
Yes, my understanding, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so the reason uh, the aggregator, right, the quotes are cheaper on Near than THORChain, right? So the trades will go through Near before THORChain. So if Near gets to the point where like, well, we got to start making money, we got to stop losing, and they started adding on fees, well, now maybe they become more expensive than THORChain, and then we start capturing volume again. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think trying to compete on the lowest price is just like the worst business model ever, and it's just yeah, it doesn't work. Um, and actually, this other thing too with all the wallets and the aggregators. That could be how this plays out. That it is just a total race to the bottom, and everyone trying to lower fees and everyone undercutting each other, right? Like maybe there's some other protocol that comes out tries to get in cheaper than Near and steal their steal momentum from them. Um, like where does it end, right? And so if everyone's just competing on the lowest price, it's just such an awful business. And again, it's the point of our own software interface. We don't have to compete on price. We can compete on service, right? We can compete on a brand. And you know, we're not purporting to be the cheapest. We're purporting to be the best user experience. Come trade on THORChain.org and never leave, right? Hotel California. Um, and we're never going to purport to be the cheapest, probably. But if we become people's favorite, that can be good enough. So that kind of helps. And then with that brand, if we are getting tons of volume on our swap interface, maybe we can increase the fees a bit. And we're relying less and less on these other integrations. We can let Near and whoever else all fight over each other for who's the cheapest. Meanwhile, we've got our own interface is doing a great volume, tons of usage, and we rely less and less on these other wallets. I'm not saying I want that or that it should go like that. I'm just saying maybe that's how it shakes out, right? But at least we have this. It's another way for us to win, right? And so whichever way we're making the most money is what we can lean into. So it just gives us options instead of worrying about being the cheapest in an aggregator that we don't control and a wallet we don't control. We can start taking more of the control to ourselves.
And we save the aggregator fees for the customer, right?
Correct. Yeah. On trades going through THORChain. Yeah.
And I 100% agree with Kenton. The user, I think Kenton, this interchain, as well. We never, like, let's say you want to buy Bitcoin. You never went for a place where it's cheapest on ramp, cheapest this and that. At least for myself, went always from Nance, Craig, and I went for well-known user experience. I never chased down the last 2, 3 basis points to save money. No, it was never that. It was just the well-known businesses. And I think we should never. That's why we have a lot of grocery stores around us as well. It's never like where we get the cheapest eggs and water. It's the convenience. It's everything. Yeah, it's. I think the run the running down for the lowest fees. Yes, the whole market will have to adapt, but it's not about you don't win the game by lowest fees. You win the game by having the best service, best user experience, and that's why we have Rujira, we have the Orca liquidations, and a lot of things on top of on us as well. That near chain flip, they don't have, and the centralized exchange don't have. We can do all this through wallets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hi. I mean, user experience is definitely very important, as you mentioned. But I mean, we all know the markets. The markets are always keen to go for the cheapest, the fastest. The user experience is extremely important. And what I feel about Rune is, despite the reputation that we need to regain in the market, we are lacking a clear USP, a clear unique selling proposition. I mean, we do native swaps, but it seems that the users don't care about swapping natively. They just need to swap and see the money in their account or invest in their favorite, I don't know, crypto. So, what is Rune's USP? Do we have a USP? Do you have something that is unique to Rune other than the native swaps that can really solve something in terms of um, in the life of these users, or can attract massive volumes coming from new users? Thank you.
That's funny how you
Yeah.
said like Rune
The,
goes for the cheapest, but you said yourself we don't. People don't go for the cheapest fees.
the USP for THORChain is to be able to swap Bitcoin in a self-custody wallet. That's it. That's the main thing. You can have self-custody and swap your crypto from self-custody. So the use case is to avoid and not have to use centralized exchanges. That's the 0 to 1. And I get it. Maybe a lot of people aren't interested in that. And this is an existential problem for crypto in general. If everybody's just buying the Bitcoin ETF and using centralized exchanges, like it's all a LARP. We've failed. Like the whole point of real crypto is self custody and no, permissionless, no KYC, privacy, like building an alternative financial system, and having self custody is one of the cornerstones to that. And
Okay.
if people don't jive with that, you're right, they're not going to want to use it, and they won't. But then crypto as an industry has basically failed. Like it's just tradfi then at that point. So
I sorry to interrupt, Quentin. I totally agree with you, but what you're mentioning also applies to Near, right? Now, like, ver like wallets are integrating Near, and obviously bots are using it because the fees are lower. So this makes it no longer a USP to Rune if it wants to compete with other cross-chain decks, right? Or I'm missing something.
well, no, I mean it's competition, right? To think that your business or your solution is the only one that's ever going to exist in the entire world is rather naive, right? There's always going to be alternatives. Um, right? Bitcoin, there's alternatives to Bitcoin, right? Meme coins, right? You can buy Monero, Zcash, right? Like there's alternatives to Coinbase and Binance and Kraken, right? There's dozens of centralized exchanges. Um, there's going to be dozens of decentralized cross-chain exchanges. It's going to happen, right? We can't stop that. So, you know, so what if I understand what you're asking is like, well, what separates us from our competition? And
Yes, exactly.
yeah, so we still are separated from Near and Chainflip, in that the the uh the transactions, like the swaps that are occurring on Near, are happening off chain. Like there's some logic that's happening off chain, right? And you're interacting directly with the market maker. So this is why some people are saying it's actually quasi centralized. So even though it's kind of like DeFi in the front, you know, DeFi in the front, CeFi in the back type thing. And they might get to a point where they have to introduce KYC or freeze trades or something like that. I don't know. But the swap logic on THORChain is all programmatic. It all goes through the pools, right? So there's no one's. It's just being processed by their protocol. There's nobody. There's no individual or entity on the other side of that trade. It's the protocol. It's the pool. So that would be the main difference. And um, you know, and so yeah, I think Chainflip is similar because Chainflip had to introduce KYC, or like a blacklist at the protocol level, that does not exist on THORChain. And I think the reason Chainflip had to do it is because they were getting, when all the hacked funds were going through Chainflip, their market makers were getting blacklisted from the centralized exchanges, so they couldn't arbitrage. I believe this is how it happened. Don't quote me. Don't go putting this on Twitter, you guys, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. But that didn't. So THORChain doesn't have to do that. It's all going through the pools programmatically, and for now, the industry has accepted that that's like a permissionless thing. Like there's no one in control, so you don't have to censor it. So that's why the ARBs were still able to ARB the pools with the centralized exchanges and all that kind of stuff, because it's all happening in a permissionless manner.
So,
Yeah.
so Quentin, just to summarize what you're saying. So the decentralization is the main attributes. Sorry, I'm thinking a bit from a marketing perspective because that's what I do. So the main attribute of Rune, of THORChain, I mean, sorry, is its decentralization. But at the same time, we know that, I mean, Rune is decentralized, but 100 nodes or 120 nodes is not enough, especially when a bunch of people are controlling these nodes. So a solution to make it, to gain more on this USP is, I think, in my opinion, is to increase the nodes, have much more nodes in order to walk the talk, we're really decentralized. What's the backlash of doing that?
There's no backlash, and that's a worthy goal. And we all agree more nodes the better. But I would I'd suggest to you that I think maybe you're thinking about it in absolute terms when you should be thinking about it in relative terms. Look at the number of nodes, and even if you're going to argue that there's not 100 different nodes, there's only 30 different nodes because multiple nodes are run by the same people. Um, Compare that to our competition, to the other protocols, other exchanges, right? Relatively speaking, the control in THORChain, I think, is much more decentralized than all of our competition. And as we just have to basically, increase revenue, increase yield, increase the room price. We'll get more nodes, more bond providers, and that'll just help further increase the decentralization. But we need more. You can't, like, it costs money to run nodes, guys. Like, you gotta pay people to do it, right? The yield, the revenue has to be there, and it's not there. So if we get the volume up, get the revenue up, get the yield up, that's going to attract more node operators and more nodes. But there's a cap. I'm not sure if you know Wizard of Thor, but there's a cap of nodes at 120, and the reason for that is because when you start the way THORChain works, because it's built on Tendermint and Cosmos, that the block times are a function of the number of validators, function in a number of nodes. So, and it follows a quadratic equation. So the more nodes there are, the slower the block times. And so if we went straight to, say, 500 nodes, like, block times would go to minutes or something crazy. So there's an arbitrary limit at 120 nodes on purpose to keep the block times low. But we've only hit 120 like several times in the past, and it lasted for like a week or two each time. Like, it's not like we've been hardlined at 120 for months on end and people trying to get in. There just isn't a market demand to go over 120 yet. So does that answer your question?
Yes, perfectly. Thanks. But I mean, I'm just failing to see how can we get out of where we're at right now. Um, I'm just trying to find solutions, like relevant solutions. I'm not a tech person. I'm just a marketeer, an enthusiast, in Rune, an early investor. I mean, not that early, since 2020. Um, and I'm just trying to find solutions with you guys. But yeah, I mean, I got your point regarding the USP.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Okay,
I
jump
have a
in.
few
Ben.
more to add to that, though.
Go ahead.
So oftentimes we throw around this word decentralization, but I think more on the point is that THORChain is permissionless. And Ken's kind of already gone over this some. Like, so Chainflip had to introduce KYC, and I imagine, and actually in the October 10th crash, near market makers disappeared, right? And if hacked funds were going through near, the market makers would probably disappear. So it is de facto permissioned. And THORChain is not. There's no KYC. If you have an internet connection, you can access THORChain. So, and most of the time, does that matter? No, but on the margins, it does matter. And as property rights get more valuable, it will matter more and more. And then, kind of speaking of that, should THORChain add Monero, that is a very strong USP, where being able to permissionlessly go in and out of Monero in size, that does not exist right now. And if we're able to do that, that will be a big one as well.
Yeah, great
Are
point.
you done?
Yeah,
Are you
Scott,
done?
I want to give Wizard of Thor a chance if he wants to follow up or if he's done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. That's very clear. Thank you, guys.
I just want to add to Scott before you go. I just want to follow up with Wizard of Thor. Like, what do we do? How do we get things going? So in my opinion, what we need to do is just get users on THORChain, right? We need to get the message out there and get actual users swapping. And that'll drive up the volume, which will drive up revenue, which will start driving up the room price, and that'll start getting things going. In my opinion, the egg, the chicken and the egg. I think the egg is users, and so when we with the marketing, the front end, that works, and we start really honestly growing our users and volume and revenue, that kickstarts everything, right? That gets the flywheel going type deal. So we'll have more money to spend on marketing to get more users. Room price is strong, doing well. We'll get more investors. People start paying attention. Like the room price going up, guys, is the hands down best marketing we can have in the entire world. Like that's all that matters. All of our problems, all the THORChain did this and did that, and the bad reputation, that all goes away when if Rune is 10 or 20 bucks. Like no one will care anymore. That's why with Bitcoin, like, all the FUD about Bitcoin over the years, money laundering and criminals and it's useless. You can't use it for anything. Well, all that FUD, all that stuff, is all negated with the price going up, right? And so we just need to get the room price going up, right? And it's going to negate a lot of FUD. And I think the best way to get the room price up is just to get users and to place trades, and that'll get things going. And that should be the easier sell than to get people to buy Rune. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we also need a catalyst, right, narrative, and I think what Boone was saying regarding Monero might be a quite unique thing to be able to use privacy on a decentralized, permissionless exchange. This might be, I mean, a good combination to trigger a certain catalyst because it's the catalyst that's gonna, I don't know, attract the like market makers or like the big whales, like we saw on Zcash like a month ago. And this is gonna drive the price up, and this is, I think, when the flywheel is gonna start working again.
Totally. Yeah, that could be a huge event for sure.
I would
Scott, you
say,
want to?
I will say, catalysts will come and go. Let's focus on being permissionless, decentralized, getting users. If you have users and volume, nodes have more reasons to stick around and defend the network. So I think this is the main focus. Yeah, catalysts come and go. It's just it's the same with Zcash. Maybe in 3 months, Zcash is just $150, retraced most of the price action. So yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I love these conversations because you're all bringing up a lot of good points. I'd like to speak to a few of them. And honestly, I know the price is down, the market's down. There's a lot of fear and uncertainty and with the competition and everything. I want to try and counter that a little bit here because we have a lot of unique things that maybe we're not thinking of. You know, there was that event, what was it, October 10th? Everyone went down but us because we have our own enshrined oracles. Well, that is something we have that nobody has. We have Maya who we're connected with and I believe the plan is to further that connection and redundancy. If we were to go down or have some issue where we have to stop a chain pretty soon, Maya will be able to pick that up, and we have a redundant set of rails that nobody has in the cross-chain space. We have Ruggira. I don't believe any of them can build that because they don't have the pools to build it on top of it, if I'm understanding it correctly. That's huge. So those are three huge things that we have now or are coming down the pipe and being rolled out that are positive for us, that our competition doesn't have, and I don't believe is going to have anytime soon. And we need to remember those positive things too. The other thing is, as far as pricing, and Kent, and I appreciate the thought that maybe by giving more volume to Near, we force them to subsidize more and burn through their reserve, whatever that is, faster. I disagree for a few reasons, and I think maybe you're in agreement with me on this, but one, I'm huge on optics. How do we look from the outside to see us cynically jacking up our rates, which hurts our own customers, out of some competitive thing against somebody else, I don't know that that's how we want to come across. I would much rather see us have, maybe not the absolute cheapest, but reasonable, fair rates that people can look at and say, that's not that bad. 10 bips is not terrible. But also, let's not forget that we are underpinning Rujira, that those swap fees are something they have to put on top of their costs, their fees, and they're competing with Binance. We want to keep it as reasonable as we can for them because, my huge fantasy for us is we could say, hey, we're Binance your wallet and we're cheaper. I don't know if that's possible, but we need to keep it as reasonable for them to compete as well. And also, it's not just about swapping cross chain through wallets. We have these front facing things like should say retail facing apps like Mocha. Well, we want to keep their retail price cheaper for them to thrive. So sometimes I try to think of the big picture as a whole ecosystem. It's not always just about us and our direct competitors. It's about the different pieces of the ecosystem that use us, that we could affect them and their competitiveness. We want to make sure that they're super competitive against, the fee someone would pay for an ATM or a credit card transaction too. So let's keep in mind these multiple unique and really powerful things that we have in our favor. Oh, and the other one I forgot to add, speaking of Rujira, is they're going to have redacted money. um, I think, was it Wizard you talked about, or Boone, you talked about how huge having Monero is. Well, when Redacted goes live on Rujira, my understanding is they're using the encryption to make every trade shielded, all the action on their shielded if you so choose. That's huge. I don't see anything like that on Near Intent. I don't see anything like that on any of these other platforms. So there's a lot of important and positive stuff we have and are going to have coming forward. I think keeping our prices reasonable, really talking about how stable we are. We have all this redundancy and privacy and our own sturdy enshrined Oracle network. Those are absolutely unique things that we could trumpet about ourselves, that really are a positive for us that our competition doesn't have. So is price huge? Well, of course it is, but it's not the only thing. And I believe we're a little quicker than Near Intense. And you could correct me if I'm wrong on that, Kenton. Like, on average per trade, I thought I heard Chad say that on one of the other spaces, but that's, if we can get to being quicker with our trades, people value time. Time is money. So that's another thing we could throw out there. So let's not forget all these different positive and exciting things too, in a time when maybe there is a lot of dark news around our bear market and all this stuff. I just wanted to sound off on that and see what everybody thought about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, those are good points. Hey, you're right. There was something, I forget how, about Near being a bit slower than Thorchain on some routes or certain size trades or something like that. Where Thorchain does come out ahead a bit faster. Um, and dude, you excellent points about the fees on Thorchain. Everyone built on top of it. It affects all them too. Um, I get it. It makes sense. I think my understanding with the fee experiment that's going on the last few months is basically like our, what's the right term? Our volume is inelastic. So like whether we charge 10 basis or 10 bips or 30 bips, we have the same volume, I think is what they're basically finding out. So you would think in theory that as we lower the fees, we should get more volume. And as you raise the fees, we should get less volume. But I think it seems like that's not the case. We just get this volume regardless. And so that's why there's kind of, the thought or the idea that, well, we're running a business here. We should maximize our profits, right? And charge the highest fee we can. And so I'm okay. I'm partial to that. It makes sense. On the other hand, I'm like, it'd be so much easier just to like make our fees less than Binance, and then we can just tell everybody how cheap we are. I know sounds like I'm talking about both sides of my mouth about being, trying to be cheapest, but it would be, yeah, I don't feel like I'm not worried about trying to compete with Near on price because that really they're not our main our real competition is Binance, in Coinbase, right? Like that's where all the money is, all the volume. So if we can advertise being cheaper than them, then maybe we do start collecting, getting some of those people coming over. So like, how do I say this? Being cheap is good. I'm not saying it's bad. Not something for us to strive for, guys. But it's like I don't think we need to kill ourselves to be the cheapest, right? So we don't need to, hurt ourselves to be the cheapest. But if we can be the cheapest and it's still healthy for THORChain, everything's going great, then why not? We should do it, right? So yeah, my thing is like, I think most people agree is like we're not gonna like just arbitrarily start losing money just to come in cheaper than near. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, no, good point, Scott. I agree with a lot of what you said.
Yeah, when Scott, so when it comes to earn child oracles, it has nothing to do with October 10th. Base layer doesn't care about the oracle prices. It's exclusively for the app layer. When it comes to Mocha and the what one was Mocha and one was what was the other that we should adjust our fees for? I forgot. Mocha and
Ruggiero.
anyway.
Just they're
Mocha and
competing
Ruggiero,
with
exactly.
Binance. Yeah.
Since they don't bring any money in, we at the moment just don't count for them. As soon as Mocha and Ruggiero start bringing money in a significant manner, we can lower our basis points. But at the moment, Ruggiero and Mocha both are basically non-existent. So that's why we keep the basis points that we have at the moment.
I brought up Cedric Norwell. Are you up here, man?
Cedric is fine.
There you go, buddy.
Cedric
There
is
you go,
fine.
Cedric.
So yeah, thank you for bringing me up. I was listening in on just the tail end here. I've been a little busy today, so I hear you're discussing like the cost of doing swaps, and I'm not sure I really agree with like price is one thing to perform a swap, and someone else here said that time and less hassle might be more valuable than other options. So I would argue that, for example, with Binance, you go to the platform, you maybe use your Visa card to onboard, you do your trade, you do everything, and then you can offboard from the same platform. So for me personally, I wouldn't go to Binance, then bridge out to some other chain to do like 0.5% or 0.01% difference in trade execution, and then go back to Binance and do the rest, right? So that's one aspect of it, and I'm thinking like THORChain, as it stands right now, is one dimension of what a regular user wants, and that's swapping from coin A to coin A to coin B, right? So I think for the people that are like the old CryptoPunks, we love uh, uh, THORChain because we know it's decentralized, it's all these things. But for the new masses that are coming in, the meme coin traders, the noobs, all of these people, they want to have easy access to whatever coin is popular right now, and THORChain isn't serving that market. So like the whole crew of like hype guys aren't coming to THORChain because THORChain or Kujira for that matter doesn't have the hyped tokens and the hype around it. So yeah, that's my little input. I need to collect my thoughts.
No, you bring up a great point. Like that's why I want DEX segregation, because I'm not saying meme coins are good, guys, or you should buy them or whatever, but that's where the volume is. Like that's what people are trading, and I think we have to, like, in my mind, if people can trade all their meme coins in one place, in and out of Bitcoin, like do it through like that's great, and they can, if they're doing their meme coins and other dexes, that's fine. But when they want to get in and out of Bitcoin or Ethereum and they do it through, through us, um, I feel like that's great. That's good. We want to capture those people. So
Can I just stop you a little?
yeah,
Can I just stop
yeah,
you a
go
little?
ahead.
Because I'm not necessarily speaking about meme coins, but let's say Monad, Aster, like these not specifically meme coins, but new big projects coming out, right? People are flocking to these as well. And either THORChain or Regira doesn't have like any way of covering that right now. And I think we are missing out on a big part of the market there. And like the organic hype that happens around these types of projects.
Totally. And I think that might, I have a feeling that might be just something we can't do. Because if it's an ERC20, then fine, it should be easy to add, right? But if it's a brand new blockchain, I mean, look at how hard it is to add all these other chains, right? So if it's like a layer 2 token, then it should be easy to add that. But if it's a brand new layer 1, like we're not gonna be able to do it in days, right? Apparently, JP is saying with the people he's bringing on board and the way they're going to do things now, that new chains should come out much quicker. But I still feel like it's going to be at least a couple months per chain type deal. So to get in right away that first day, first week, I think is going to be tough unless it's like a layer 2 token.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not really talking about like onboarding every L1 that comes out or every new shiny token that comes out. But everyone in here is asking themselves, why aren't more users coming into THORChain? And I think one of the answers to that is because we lack the ability to provide a wider market, which isn't necessarily like every shitcoin out there, but a wider market. And a lot of them do exist on EVM. I don't know if like Polkadot even exists anymore, or any of those side chains exist. But I can imagine if like, for example, if you can get in Polkadot, you get access to a big market. Doesn't matter. My point is really that the answer to our questions here isn't just price or some small thing. It's the whole, right?
Yeah, this is why I'm pretty strong headed on having DEX aggregation on the front end to try and offer those routes for people. And like even having that centralized exchange, that let's exchange to have Monero. Maybe those centralized exchanges will have be able to have some of those tokens that the other dexes don't. And so my idea is like try and give the user everything they want, and even if it's not on THORChain, but at least we're keeping the user happy, giving them what they want, they're staying with us, and then we make money elsewhere type thing. We'll get their other trades. So that's exactly was my angle with adding the DEX aggregation, is to try and do that. So and I guess we'll just have to see, guys, if it worked, like this is a smart move or not. I don't think, if it's not a smart move and it's like kind of hurting us, like it's not like, I think it's the end of the world. Like it's not going to be a big deal. It should be pretty easy for us to, back off from it. But yeah, in my mind, I'm convinced it's fine. It'll be okay. Coke, you have your hand up?
And
Sorry, go ahead, Cedric.
Yeah, just a last point before I let the Coco back on. As I have said many times in the Regira chat now, it's not an off and on button. It's not like one solution. It's a process. We are developing, and yeah, the product is heading at the right direction. Sorry.
No, yeah, thank you for saying that, because it's exactly, this is a work in progress, right? And yeah, I like to think I'm intellectually honest enough to admit when something is wrong or not working. So, but we got to start somewhere, right? We have to commit to something and go with it. There's like I forget how it's like a saying or a strategy. It's like you guys have probably heard like uh, perfection is just another form of procrastination or something like that. Like it's better to just start doing, because then, yeah, you might start failing, but you fail quicker and you get information quicker, and you can iterate and integrate that info quicker. So the key is just starting, just getting moving, getting going, right? And just because if we sit here and analyze and theorize and what about this and could be that and plan, nothing gets done, and there's no feedback, right? So I think this is a way to go. This is the way we're going to try, and we're going to go this way. And if it ends up not working, then fine, we will readjust, right? We'll take that information and reevaluate. What is working, we can lean into and keep going with it. So that's the method to the madness here.
And I think we have done absolutely great job, Kenton. The STO has done great. But I want to just chip in with the meme coins. Let's say about near intents last 3 months, they have done really good basically from zero to hero, going to the leader as a cross chain swaps. It doesn't matter if they're really permissionless and decentralized. It's not the question, but they have went from zero volume to 100 plus daily volume. And I've been looking every day what they're swapping. And it is USDT, USDC, Bitcoin, ETH, and Zcash at the moment. Zcash actually lately, like 90 to 80% of the volume, and it's not the meme coins. And of course, when it comes to Hyperliquid, yes, they kind of had a lot of early good coins to trade when it came to like Trump coin and etc. that had a really high volume. But now when the meme craze has died down again, still Hyperliquid is mainly going on Bitcoin, ETH, and different types of stable coins. So at the end of the day, it actually boils down still user experience. I would say both near intense. It's a user experience, having a lot of routes, and Hyperliquid as well as a user experience. You just deposit your USDC and it's really convenient. So both ways, I think it has more to do with user experience than the virality of the coins, especially meme coins, because meme coins just came and they go, and at the moment nobody cares about meme coins. So I would say user experience, user experience. So Kenton, keep ironing down the aggregation, because aggregation, text aggregation, it is a user experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's my idea with the meme coins. No way, shape, or form do I think we're going to make a lot of money on it. It's a great source of revenue, whatever. It's like a lost leader. So it's like offering free bread at the restaurant. We're just something to keep our customers happy. Give them a little something, because we want them to trade their Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins with us, right? Like, um, you know, uh, we want to fill their need, right? Fill that the user experience in my mind is that they can come to the THORChain site and do everything, right? They can trade whatever token they want. And so if they're coming to trade some weird meme coin and then they never trade it again, but they stay with us for the next 5 years and trade all their Bitcoin and stable coins with us, great, right? Like, it was worth it. So, it's the whole, right? We got to measure the whole user journey, right? It's not just their one particular action that we have to make money on, right? It's all of their actions added up together. And so that was my thing with meme coins. Like, I bought meme coins too. I got some crappy ones, and I got to go to these different exchanges to go find them, right? And it's a bit of a pain. And and then I'm like swapping, all these different. I got to get Solana, get Ethereum, and go buy all this stuff. Like, it's just a bit cumbersome. If I can just do it all on one platform, it'd be so much easier. And so yeah, that's how I was thinking about, like, the user experience, and just give something that makes people happy and easy, remove friction. So this isn't a bet on meme coins; it's a bet on the user. And just following kind of what the users do. This is their act. This it's not us to comment on on how our customers behave and why they buy something. We just want them to buy it through us, right? And pay attention to what they're doing and try and give that to them. So um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree because I used to be upset actually, like, oh, why don't we get Sui? Why don't we get Ton right away? But now, in hindsight, many months later, I see like, and looking at the other Hyperliquid and near the Sui near and even Solana is not their main revenue sources or the volume sources. So it's user experience, the front end that near provides and Hyperliquid provides. It's I think that's the main key. So that's why I'm so happy that we get our own front end. We can dictate our own journey onwards now, and especially with that functionality from the rapid swaps and limit swaps. It's crazy. It's zero from it's 0 to 100, and also when we have the layer functionality when it comes to perps that we can add to our front end as well. It's crazy. So I wouldn't be so crazy about new change. Yes, we have to, of course, adapt and add new change if there's some really popular ones. But I am not so upset anymore not having Sui and Don like I used to be. So I think yeah, it's more about our front end and service that we can provide to users and memoless, of course. If you can send it, you can swap it. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and like I keep wondering too if there's like, supply side economics where it's like maybe some of these tokens don't have a lot of volume because they're not on dexes. And what if THORChain adding these new tokens to, cross chain dex all of a sudden gets a lot of volume? We're by THORChain adding it, we're the catalyst to increasing the volume on that chain. So that's for me in my mind. Like I want to,
I would say that we added the most gatekeep token that wasn't available on decentralized exchange. It was the XRP. We haven't seen any exceptional volume. Even at the moment, the Alex, Bitcoin Cash guy, whoever it is, whoever does those crazy swaps, uh, yeah, dwarfs the XRP volume. So I would say XRP is a great example where there is a lot of cloud, a lot of excitement, a lot of volume, huge market cap, and they haven't made crazy multi-million dollar volume days. They hover around, I don't know, the best days 2-3 million at the moment, maybe 100 to 300 k volume per day. So I think that was a good example to see, hey, what's gonna happen. It's the market cap is so huge. There should be so many people who wanna swap from Bitcoin to XRP. It didn't happen. Maybe it's a fault of marketing or lack of it. But yeah, I think it was a good test.
it's totally a lack of marketing. Like it was way too soon to call that not working. Like nobody knows about it. Go to a crypto meetup. Go on Twitter. Go jump in some threads. Join some other spaces. Ask anybody if they know they can swap Bitcoin or if they can swap XRP on a DEX. I guarantee. I bet you a beer. I bet you a steak dinner. No one knows. Absolutely nobody knows about it. So it's totally a marketing problem. We got to get the message out. Um, Once everyone in crypto knows it exists and is possible, then you can evaluate whether it's a good idea or not. And I think that's our THORChain's biggest problem is no one knows about it. Nobody knows what can be done. And so it's not as simple as you just build it. Like no one's paying attention to THORChain. No one cares about THORChain. You guys, there's a meme or saying that goes around like no one thinks about you as much as you think they do, right? Like I can sit here and think you guys, I could stress and be worried that like you guys all, what are you guys thinking about me? In between spaces, like do you think I'm like this? Do you think I'm a jerk or a loser or whatever? And the reality is probably none of you even give me a second thought, right? And so this is, what people, so the saying is like, don't beat yourself up or get worked up about what you think others think of you, because they're not thinking about you. And this applies with marketing at THORChain too. Like, just because it exists and we build it on THORChain, it doesn't mean instantly the whole world knows about it. No one cares. No one's paying attention to THORChain. No one's looking at it. No one's in our Discord. No one's paying attention to Twitter. Like, nobody knows. So we got to change that, right? So if we can get something, the XRP pool, to be common knowledge amongst in the crypto world, and the volume is still low, all right, fine, that didn't work. You're right. The demand isn't there, but there can't be a demand if people don't know about it, right? Like, it can't, right? So that's what I'm trying to fix. That's what we're trying to do here with
Yeah,
marketing.
I
is
agree
trying to
with
get
you, but I'm just pushing back the idea that the reason maybe why this token wasn't traded because it wasn't on decentralized exchange. That's what I have in mind. Yeah, of course, it's about marketing, but I think it's fugazi. The idea, it's not traded on. There is no such thing. The reason why this token doesn't have a lot of volume because it's not traded on decentralized exchange, I think that's fugazi. People, if they want the token, they find a way. So we should not maybe cater to the idea that maybe this gatekeeper like XRP was, or this and that. That's what I meant.
Okay, gotcha. Well,
Can I
hopefully,
comment on this?
yeah,
Can I comment
please.
a little on
Yeah,
this?
go ahead.
I mentioned this in the Ruggiero chat as well. Like, when we're working towards Monero, I think that's a, like, compared to XRP, that's a proper 0 to 1. As far as I know, you can't trade Monero on any DEX or SEX right now. Like, everything is P2P. So by THORChain getting that, I think you will open a market similar to what Terra did, like you spoke of last week.
Kraken has Monero.
They do?
Yes.
Why do they keep complaining on my timeline that there's no sex system?
We don't know. People lie.
People lie.
You can go look. You can go look at Kraken yourself, but it's on there.
Can you withdraw?
Okay, my mistake.
It's not only THORChain that has this problem that people don't know about what is possible to trade and what not.
Yeah. Can you withdraw Monero from Kraken? Or
No,
can you only...
Kenton, it stays there. It's just like it's IOU. Yeah, it stays there. Kenton.
Okay,
Never.
so that's a half truth then. Then
Wait,
it's a half truth because
you can't withdraw it.
No, I'm kidding, bro.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I thought some exchanges you can't. They won't let you withdraw Monero. You can only trade it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, then it's
No,
Perptex. It's different.
Kraken is based.
Kraken is Spottex mainly.
Well, guys, this has been a marathon.
That's awkward ending.
Anybody else want to jump up? Anything to say? Any of you speakers have any final thoughts? Anything you guys want to say?
Just thank you again, Kenton, for all this immense amount of work you've been doing on building out the front end. This UKIT thing's such a cool surprise, and marketing. So yeah, just thank you. Stepping up huge.
You're welcome. Yeah. And I wish we had more people on here telling me why I'm wrong or questioning or criticizing. It seemed everyone on the spaces, you guys all seem to be supportive, and it's great. And I thank you, appreciate that. But I do want to hear, like, based on some of the tweets and comments. Tweets been going around today and yesterday, and comments in Discord. Sounds like some people are out of the loop. And maybe I think maybe need to do a better job of doing some more written stuff to kind of put these ideas down and what I'm working on and what I'm doing and why. So yeah, I think I just kind of, I'm so used to explaining it to you guys on the spaces. I just honestly haven't thought about writing it down. But maybe it's time to do that. All right, great guys. Well, I think we'll wrap this up. Give me 1 second here. So yeah, next week. What's it? No, Saturday. This Saturday, 29th. Voltisig we got coming on 10 a.m. Eastern. And then the following Saturday, Thor Wallet. So Crypto XE, he was up here speaking. I chatted with him about uh, all this talk about THORChain rebranding and Thor Wallet and THORSwap, whatever. I reached out to Thor Wallet. They got back to me. We chatted. We had a good chat. And I was like, do you mind doing a space with us? Like, repeating what you said? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So it'll be good. So next Saturday, we're gonna chat with Crypto XE about Thor Wallet. We can talk about, everyone's concerns about the branding between Thor Wallet and THORChain. I think he has a really good take on it. And yeah, guys, happy American Thanksgiving. I don't know how many of you are American, but I'm doing a dinner on Saturday with some friends. None of us are American, but we're going to do our own non-American Thanksgiving anyway. So cheers, everybody. Thanks for listening. Take care.